was too easy, with one exception. Ross Byrne in the midst of that had a beautiful pass under huge pressure, flashed across the Lyon defensive line and set that up. James Lowe would have been better off just leaving that going. He snatched at a ball that had bounced. It's, you know, odd-shaped balls, isn't that what they say about rugby? And it bounced the wrong way for him.
Yeah, but again, we're looking at that. It's down that blind side that they seem to be getting a fair bit of traction. And James Lowe getting involved again. Yeah, I completely agree with you there. He should have left that ball, would have popped up into, I think it was, I don't know if it was Ross Byrne still following up on the inside, but perfect start. And Dave Carney's getting plenty of ball early on.
So it's going to be a Lyon scrum, 5 metres out from their own try line, about 10 metres in from the far touchline. And Leinster getting a good shove on that Lyon scrum, but Lyon managed to get it out. And it's number 8, Virgil Bruni, who takes it with a short little carry. As Leinster get a bit more line speed and putting Lyon under a slight bit of pressure. Still just 5 or 6 metres out from their own try line as scrum half Jonathan Polise prepares to box kick out. Low trajectory, but manages to find a safe touch. As Dave Carney watches it go into touch, and it's going to be a Leinster line out. 5-6 metres inside the Lyon half on the far side of the pitch. You mentioned Dave Carney there, guys. He's a player who's been outstanding form as well so far this season, having turned 30 in the summer. 7 tries in 8 games so far this season. He was part of Andy Farrell's stock take before Christmas as well. It looks like he's getting a look back in with the Irish team. Does he still have a bit of work to do to break into a matchday 23?
I think so. I think he's been, as you say, he's been an ever-present with Leinster this year, and it's amazing what 12 months does. He's really picked up his form in this season, and last year he was struggling a bit. But there's such quality in the back three in Leinster, and Adam Burns not even getting a sniff at the moment. So you've got to be on top form to have a crack. But yeah, he's going to be pushing certainly with Andy Farrell come Six Nations. Penalty
advantage for Leinster as they work their way inside the 22 here, and Luke McGrath swallowed up. But we are going to come back for that penalty. No advantage coming for Leinster.
It's funny when you have these matches, to be honest, the expectation immediately is for a try to be scored early, and of course we've had 2 that have been disallowed, one for a knock-on, one for a kick ahead. There is that high level of expectation. Already for me now, I'm looking at this and saying, yes, Leinster are playing with confidence because they have huge confidence at the moment, but they need to just have a little bit of extra discipline, get the scores, get themselves in a good position, and it can become one of those almost entertainment games after that. But they need to do the hard work first, and just a little bit more attention to detail at the start of the game.
Ross Byrne turns down what would have been a relatively straightforward set of 3 points and decides to kick into touch and brings Leinster to within 15 metres, 10-15 metres of the Lyon try line. On this near side of the pitch, James Treacy prepares to throw into the line out, and he finds Max Deegan up at number 2, and Leinster prepare to maul, but it's slowed down well by Lyon, and Luke McGrath breaks out to the right, and Robbie Henshaw plays it to Ross Byrne, and Byrne decides to hold up, but he's tackled as they work their way into the middle of the pitch, and Luke McGrath looks to the left but eventually goes right, and James Treacy with a short carry. McGrath sniping right and plays it out to Cian Healy. Healy stopped, and Luke McGrath going towards that right side of the pitch again, where James Lowe has it in his hands and manages to squeeze an extra couple of yards out of the carry. Rhys Ruddock on the ball now, Cian Healy over supporting him as Lyon try to contest in the ground, but it doesn't work. Tadhg Furlong now in possession. Leinster still 10 metres out, working back towards the left into the centre of this pitch. James Treacy with a carry. Ruddock again, the latest to go, but he's tackled by a couple of Lyon players, and decoy run from Van der Fleer as Leinster try to go left again, but they're stopped, and still they're just 10 metres out, and Ross Byrne plays it out towards the right onto Dave Carney's hands, who's drifted over onto this left wing. Leinster quite bunched at the moment. Lyon spread very much across the pitch. Leinster going for short, hard carries. Tadhg Furlong once again, and they get to within 5 metres of the try line, and Ross Byrne, this time they go out the back line. And they're stopped short. And Devin Toner was actually, I think, could try to grub her through, but we are going to come back. Leinster had advantage all along. Referee Ben Whitehouse brings play back to 10 metres out from the Lyon try line, 15 metres infield, and straight away Scott Fardy points towards the corner.
And should point towards the corner. I mean, again, there's a lot of decent play in that, and then there's a little bit of pedestrian play in it. So I have to say Devon Toner didn't expect that ball, but you have to expect the ball always.
Oh, and Luke McGrath decides to go quick and sends it out onto the far touchline, where James Lowe pops it inside, and it's a try for Leinster, and it's Dave Carney who goes over. Lyon caught napping. It pointed towards the left corner of the pitch. It looked like they were going to send it into touch, but Luke McGrath looked up, spotted some space on the outside, and played the crossfield kick over into the hands of James Lowe, who popped it back inside to Dave Carney, who touched down for his 8th try in 9 matches this season. And Leinster do have their try conversion to come. 10 minutes played. They lead Lyon here by 5 points to 0.
Yeah, Lyon just a little bit kind of looking towards the corner, caught people caught unawares, but I think a smart execution. You know, Leinster got that score that they needed to get, because as you'd said, Keith, it was the air of expectation around here is that they're going to run in tries, and the longer it goes on that they don't get it, the more nervous they get. And even some of the attack play they're doing, it's all first phase. They're trying to score off first phase straight away. A little bit of patience there. That's perfect. They've got the score now. Easy try, back to it, and then the nerves settle now, and then we'll see what this Lyon side have to back it up.
It'll be a difficult conversion here for Ross Byrne, way out on that far right touchline. Right-footed Ross Byrne. Past the 100 mark barrier in Europe last time out against Northampton. And he kicks well, and he's clipped the post, and Leinster off to a perfect start here. 10 minutes played.
You know what's lovely about that conversion? Ross Byrne wasted no time. Absolutely no time. He didn't overthink it. He knew what he wanted to do, and he just stroked it over. That was as easy for him as one from in front of the post. It's lovely to see. I'd like to see him take a little bit more out of the ball himself when he attacks the line. He tends to pass, rarely runs, and he's rarely considered a threat, which puts some of the outside backs under a little bit of pressure.
And it's been one of those days for Lyon already so far, with just 11 minutes gone. Off that kick-off, I would say about 5 or 6 Lyon players ahead of the kicker. An easy one for Ben Whitehouse to spot.
It is, but it actually never gets penalised. So have they decided that this is something that's going to be picked up on? Because that happens in virtually every single kickoff now, but back in feeling like an old fogey.
I will say on this one, I know it does always happen. This was players, I would say, 2 to 3 metres ahead of the kicker when the ball was kicked.
But yeah, it does happen so often, and no one picks up on it, and unless it's blatantly obvious, no one's going to pull it back, you know. And especially a touch should concede, even if it's going far side, there's someone in front. But again, it's that pressure straight back. But
I will say that some of the things on the laws of the game, our laws on this game are pretty good, actually, for the most part, if we bloody, ref them for that and actually do them, as opposed to leaving them just bypass for a period of time. So that hasn't been penalised. I haven't seen that penalised for 2 or 3 years.
Scrum Leinster right on the halfway line, centre of the pitch, and they're moving forward, and they have the advantage, and Max Deegan breaks out and sends it out to Luke McGrath, and Luke McGrath brings possession 15 metres inside the Lyon half of the pitch, still centre of the field. Rhys Ruddock now carries short, and Luke McGrath plays it left to Tyg Furlong, who gains another couple of grounds. Still penalty advantage coming for Leinster, and Max Deegan with the latest carry and manages to wriggle around and get the ball free. Tyg Furlong gains another couple of metres as they get up towards the 22, and Ross Byrne holds on for just a second and plays a skip pass out to Dave Carney on the right wing, but Carney has to cut back inside, and eventually no advantage coming. We're going to come back for that penalty just inside the Leinster half of the pitch off the back of that scrum. Very dominant scrum from Leinster.
Yeah, I think you see it there, like the referee, they're showing the right pitches to the referee, pushing it forward, easy enough yards. I like to see the referee stick out the hand so he can play the advantage off the scrum and you can have a go at it, rather than just blowing it up straight away.
Going to be a kick, will he go for the full length of it? Or a little bit safer maybe.
So Ross Byrne sends it over to the far touchline, just bringing possession inside the 22. An attacking platform for Leinster. We see James Lowe in front of us on our near touchline on the left wing, absolutely hanging onto the touchline. There's probably about 25-30 metres between himself and Gary Ringrose at outside centre, with Jordan Larmour just hanging in behind Ringrose, and James Treacy finds Devon Toner in the line, and they play it short straight away, and a hard carry from Robbie Henshaw. And Josh van der Fleer now, and Leinster bring possession up towards 5 metres from the line, and van der Fleer has it. Van der Fleer is over, and that's try number 2 for Leinster. Simple as you like. 14 minutes played. Josh van der Fleer with the carry, and Leinster get over for their second try of the game inside this opening quarter of an hour. Ross Byrne with the conversion to come, but Leinster up and running now. 12 points to 0 they lead against Lyon.
Luke McGrath is just sniping at every available opportunity because there isn't a hard defensive push against him. He's been given a couple of yards of space. It's a little bit of a show and go, and Van der Fleer, where a good 7 should be, on the inside shoulder of his 9, always very easy finish for him afterwards. Been very impressed with Van der Fleer for the last year. You know, when Levy got injured, there was a view that this was kind of a little bit at the end of the world, and Van der Fleer had been injured, but he came back stronger and better, rehabbed incredibly well. His standard of performance is a great guide marker for the young kids that are coming through in Leinster.
I think as well this year is a massive increase in his attacking ability, because we all know about he'll tackle anything. His numbers are high, he gets into double figures.
Most tackles in the tournament on 73.
Exactly, and you're looking at the young guys. Will Connor's behind him again, who's going to tackle a wall, you know, and but Josh is bringing that extra little bit to him, like that extra bit in attack that we need, you know, and that Leinster need and that Ireland need, and it's only going so well for him, you know, and that pressure from behind is driving the standards.
And that noise will tell you that Ross Byrne has slotted the conversion comfortably. It was between the halfway line, between the touch line and the post, just outside the 22, and a comfortable conversion for Ross Byrne, and Leinster lead here by 14 points to 0, 15 minutes played. Jonathan Police to take the kick-off, and Lyon's players remembering to hang quite a bit back this time round from the kick-off as it goes over Devin Toner's head, but Dave Carney manages to catch it just before it bounces into touch, just outside the Leinster 22 on the far side of the pitch. Scott Fardy with a short little carry as Luke McGrath brings possession left to Ross Byrne, and Gary Ringrose has it in his hands now, and Gary Ringrose makes a break, and he's working his way up towards the halfway line, and he's got Luke McGrath inside him. Luke McGrath just brought to ground before he could get the ball offloaded to Gary Ringrose, but Ringrose steps in at scrum half, and Leinster are going to try and move this quickly. Ross Byrne dusts off 1 or 2 tackles before he's eventually stopped just outside the 22. Luke McGrath sends it right to Rhys Ruddock, who decides not to pass onto the inside to Toner and goes himself. James Treacy with a short little carry, stopped by 2 Lyon players. Van der Fleer in over to support. Ruddock in at first receiver. Possession up now on the 22, 15 metres in from this near touchline, and Max Deegan, one of the first times we've seen him with the ball in hand so far this afternoon, gains an extra 3 or 4 yards, and Ruddock once more. And now they go out to Ross Byrne, skips, look to skip to Scott Fardy, but in the end it's intercepted by Lyon, who've recovered possession now, and Virgil Brunei. And they're throwing it around here in their 22 before eventually they see sense and drive a clearing kick down into the Leinster 22, but James Lowe has all the time in the world to survey the scene and decide what he wants. As slow as you like, just sends it straight out into touch. With the time he had, probably not a particularly good touch, where he only sends possession up 10 metres inside the Leinster half.
Oh, I think he's taken all the pressure off Lyon. He sauntered back to get the ball and then decided to stop and kick to touch, and has managed to kick it about 15 yards. I think he could have run back there. There was Jordan Larmour was with him. There wasn't a huge number or big press coming from Lyon, so he'd have been 2 against maybe 2 or 3. They could have turned that over comfortably and continued up the play. I think Leinster have been a little bit, I'm going to use the word lazy, even though that's not something you'd ever say, but lazy in their attention to detail with the ball in hand, because I think they know they're going to win this game. They're just missing that edge. Hard to say that when they're 14 points up, but you know, you expect something to be a bit slicker. They're not under pressure. They don't seem to be kind of pushing that standard high enough at the moment.
Badri Alkajashvili now, the Lyon hooker, prepares to throw into the line out 10 metres inside this Leinster half of the field, and he finds his flanker Felix Lambe, who was on in just the second minute of the game after that injury to Killian Garassi. And Lyon set up a maul here and managed to get a few yards out of it, although Devin Toner is in there trying to disrupt, but eventually he's penalised by Ben Whitehouse, who sticks his arm out. Advantage coming for Lyon, and the ball is swallowed up in there. Eventually Police manages to get it out, and Leinster shoot up. Ross Byrne tried to get after the ball, and in the end it went into the hands of Xavier Mignot, the right winger. But Lyon just chucking the ball around, not much structure to their play at the moment, and Whitehouse sees they're going nowhere really, and we're going to come back for this penalty off the back of that maul.
They've 2 options. Ross Byrne went into an offside position there as well. Went to tackle the scrum half when he hadn't put his hands down onto the ball or lifted the ball. So they've 2 options, but they've decided to play the game and kick in the corner as well.
It's such a soft, like, from letting the ball in a turnover from Lyon under their own sticks to been like, okay, that's not a great kick from him now. He's kicked it about 10 metres just inside the 22, but from Lyon to do that, I think it stems back to that James Lowe opportunity. There's no chase up at him, as you say. Jordan Larmour's outside him. If they have that urgency there, they'll have a crack. That's perfect for them. Open field, lazy runners, disjointed, and that's what you want to see.
Al-Kajashvili now throwing in just inside the Leinster 22, and Rhys Ruddock almost disrupted it there, but it was into the hands of number 8 Virgil Bruni, and again Lyon decide to try maul it, but we're going to pull play up here. It was a crooked throw and a scrum for Leinster right on their 22.
I thought they were going to get away with it. They were the sort of ones I wanted to get away with back in the day. I know exactly how to throw that throw. That was easily 2 feet down the Lyon side. So
just make a very wide channel, Keith. Is that the?
Well, they changed afterwards. It would have been. I think it may be a little bit easier, but yeah. I will admit to hitting my scrum half in the back of the head once. It was very windy, but still, it's not the sort of thing you want to have.
You can do that now because the amount of scrum halves who'll stand in as the first man in the line out.
Yeah, that unfortunately wasn't the case.
So scrum Leinster right on their 22 here, 15 metres in from the near touchline. And already it feels like the kind of steam has gone out of this game just 20 minutes in. Leinster leading by 14 points to 0 after tries for Dave Carney and for Josh van der Fleer inside the opening quarter of an hour. Leinster have started so well in almost every game they've played. And another penalty advantage coming off the back of that scrum. Max Deegan has all the time in the world, and in the end Leinster play around it, and Ben Whitehouse is going to give them a chance to break out of their own 22 here, despite a bit of sloppy play, because Jordan Larmour got his hands on the ball and out to Gary Ringrose now. But we are going to come back for that penalty off the back of that scrum.
Can I make a slightly odd remark? Leinster's backs, their studs are too short. 3 times we've seen backs go to take a step and slip over, and we are in, the pitch looks pristine, it's perfect. But especially with someone like Jordan Larmour who kind of runs on a sixpence, longer studs might do the trick because they're falling over too often.
Not quite the 21s now, but
21.
Do they still wear 21? Do people still wear the 21s?
The Silver Kings were the winners.
So Ross Byrne to clear the lines here from just inside his own 22, 15 metres in from the touchline. And Byrne, again, not too much distance on it. Only brings possession up to a few metres inside Leinster's half.
It's normally such a strong area for Ross Byrne, and you'd expect a couple of kicks he's had from penalties to touch. He hasn't made that much yards of it. He's probably gone safe.
And Treacy goes towards the tail to Rhys Ruddock, and strong carry from Max Deegan brings possession up towards the halfway line. Fardy now the latest to get his hands on it, and McGrath goes back to the left into the hands of Deegan, who passes it out to Ross Byrne. And it's intercepted by Virgil Bruni, and Bruni, can he get towards the line? He's got Max Deegan and Jordan Larmour chasing him. Jordan Larmour gets the ankle tap, but not enough to stop Bruni from getting in under the post, and it's a try for Lyon. They're up and running this afternoon. 14 points to 7 Leinster lead. Virgil Bruni the try scorer, 40 points to 5.
And that's a carbon copy of the play earlier on that's led to this whole the situation. The short ball, don't know if Scott Farley was expecting it, turned over, and Lyon turned it away there. Same thing there, takes it right to the line, and it's too easy, it's too readable.
It is too readable, but also, and this would be, I have a lot of time for Ross Byrne. My criticism of him playing is that he doesn't interest the defence. So I think that everybody knew he was going to pass that ball. So the Lyon player just took a punt and said he's going to actually pass it. And actually, if he doesn't pass it and goes for it, my inside cover is going to be able to catch him because he isn't that running threat. And so he has run 1 ball in the first, 20 minutes of the game. He's run 1 ball because the ball bounced, and there was no reason for him not to do it. He has to bring that as part of his game. I don't know that it's going to matter today, but that was just a simple lack of pace from Leinster, lack of intent maybe in what they were doing, and decent defence.
Jonathan Police converts the scrum half, and the score now is 14 points to 7, 22 minutes played after that try for number 8 Virgil Bruni. Bruni, who would have played against Lyon back in the 2014 quarter-final when he was with Toulon, joined Lyon from the former European champions back in 2016, and Ross Byrne sends it deep down towards the 22 into the hands of Noah Nakatasi, Fijian-born winger who has 14 caps for France, joined a couple of seasons ago from Clermont-Auvergne. And a deep kick straight into the hands of Jordan Larmour, who has a chance to counter-attack now, but he's going to kick it again himself. But it's a comfortable take for Toby Arnold at full back. Arnold puts it into the hands of his out half Jean-Marcel Boutin. Oh, and almost a spill ball there from Ross Byrne, but he manages to find a bit of space and work his way out towards this touchline into the Lyon half of the pitch. McGrath out, James Treacy. Leinster in the centre of the pitch, just inside the Lyon half. Max Deegan with a short carry, Devin Toner and Rhys Ruddock supporting him, and Gary Ringrose, and he gets flipped over in the tackle. Although it looked accidental, momentum seemed to take him over the horizontal. And they've gone back a couple of yards. Ruddock now out to Van der Fleer, and Van der Fleer shifts it left to Jordan Larmour, who manages to shrug off a couple of tackles and bring possession into the Lyon half of the pitch. Cian Healy now tackled by Lambay. McGrath goes to the right into the hands of Furlong, who decides not to pass and is swallowed up by a couple of Lyon tackles. Ross Byrne, James Lowe having drifted in field and plays it back inside brilliantly into Larmour. And that skip pass over the head of Ross Byrne is too high for him. James Lowe manages to recover though. Again, possession still in the Lyon half of the pitch. Leinster working their way towards that 10-metre line. 15 metres in from the far touchline, and Byrne now with a flat pass to Max Deegan, who manages to stay off on his feet and shrug off a second tackle, and Max Deegan has space here to work with, but he's stopped by Virgil Bruno right on the 22. Counter-attacking chance for Leinster here now. Ruddock into the centre of the field. Leinster trying to work it towards the left. Ross Byrne decides not to pass and holds on to it. And in the end, a couple of Leinster players think they might have heard a whistle and play slowed down before they eventually continue. And Van der Fleer now coming back towards this left touchline. Ringrose to James Lowe. Tackle not forward from Lyon in the tackle. And it's going to be a short advantage, just a knock-on advantage for Leinster. Just inside this near touchline, inside the 22. Advantage still being played, and we're going to come back for a penalty actually. Penalty for Leinster just inside the Lyon 22, 5 metres inside this pitch. Wonderful bit of play there from Max Deegan to create the initial break.
Oh, we were having a discussion beforehand about whether it's Caelan Doris or Max Deegan. I think it's a absolute riches to be able to have both of those when your main guy is out injured. And for me, it's Deegan. And only for the reason, and I say Caelan Doris is more robust, but Max Deegan plays at a style that's very different from any other number 8 in the country, and I think you should never want to change him into what everybody else is. So his ability there wasn't to do with power, it was to do with sleight of foot, almost his step before the tackle happened, got him 20 yards over the gain line.
Line out Leinster, 6-7 metres from the try line. Deegan takes it up towards the front, and Leinster prepared to maul. Sean Cronin with his hands on it at the back as they inch their way forward, and now they're starting to move and get towards the try line. James Treacy, I should say, rather than Sean Cronin has it, and Tracy's not giving it up, but Luke McGrath has it now as play is brought to the ground, and McGrath decides he's not going to take the ball, he's just going to go over and shield it as Deegan comes in, supported by Devin Toner and by Van der Fleer. Leinster going for some short pick and goes. Healy now prepares to move towards the right as they get to within a metre or two from the line. It's Treacy the latest to go to the left, and they're just inches short now. And dived over the top is Scott Fardy, and that is going to be a try for Leinster, try number 3, and it's Scott Fardy with his first try of the season. Looked to the left, looked to the right, decided the best option was right over the middle where there was no Lyon defender watching, diving over the rock. Third try of the afternoon for Leinster. 27 minutes played, and they lead here by 19 points to 7.
I think that's one of the great benefits of experience. He may have seen everything that's happened in the game, Scott Fardy, and there was a couple of short pops into fairly hefty French forwards. They're going to stop you for the most part. Fardy, not a bother on it. I'm never ever sure about guys jumping over the top. I'm not quite sure about those things within the laws of the game, but that anyway is smart. You could just see it. There you go. That's safe and fine and everything. Yeah. That's a proper thinking man's try, actually.
Exactly. You have your Lyon, your pillars just around the side of the ruck, just looking in, looking for another pick and go. Leinster's shown that picture of those pick and goes, as you say. The French are there. They're easy enough tackles to make. You know, all you got to do is get there and put your body on the line a little bit. Have the smart so to spot the opportunity. Soft try.
5 metres in, or 6 metres in from the near touchline, right on the 22. Ross Byrne looking to go make it 3 from 3, although Ben Whitehouse has he stopped the clock? Is he going to go have a look at something here? He's walking up towards the big screen.
There was definitely...
He certainly stopped the clock anyway.
There was a neck roll in the middle of it, but I wouldn't have said it was anything of any serious note. I mean, we do have to be a little bit more careful with this game.
So we see here,
checking to see is there a knock on.
Looking to see was there a knock on. As Scott was looking for contact on a head there, potentially with a boot. There's so much going on at the bottom of that ruck. As we watch Scott Fardy dive over.
Did that ball get
He's
knocked
just trying to see, was it knocked over by Fardy as he was trying to pick and go?
By Reece Ruddock actually to Fardy. Was he in front of him?
Leinster have already had a try ruled out. After they went over in the opening minute of the game, Luke McGrath who had touched down on that occasion. Before he eventually got his try, that was pulled back because he was ahead of, or he didn't get his try before it was pulled back after he was just slightly ahead of Dave Carney on a kick through.
Did he roll the ball forward in his hand first before he took it? I mean, it's very tight margins.
Yeah,
we're looking from a long
small
way
margins.
away, you know?
Yeah, I think I'd be giving that, because if he's getting a hand and he's scooping it up, you're not going to say he's lost it forward. He's in control as he's picking it up. Let's hopefully Ben Whitehouse and the TMO agree.
Well, I think Ross Byrne might have got an indication that Ben Whitehouse thinks he might be trying. The Leinster fans are trying to put as much pressure as possible on him. Ross Byrne has just walked back towards the ball to replace it again. We still haven't had our decision yet. We can see on the screen that Ben Whitehouse is talking to his TMO. Our TMO this afternoon is Ian Davies. And no try. It's going to be called a knock-on against Leinster and a scrum 5 to Lyon. Is that a bit of a let-off?
I don't know. I don't know, because we're looking at it from a long way away, so we're not looking at a small screen, and it looked like there was a roll of the ball forward a little, but I'm saying we're guessing that. And you know, the TMO, like, in as much as VAR in soccer is making it's a pain in the neck for everybody to look at it. If it's on such a fine a margin, you need to tidy out different elements of that. So there obviously was a penalty.
There was a penalty advantage coming to Leinster, so they do have the penalty, which a kick to touch. Whitehouse indicating it was for offside. And the Leinster fans getting behind their team now, creating a bit of noise. 28 minutes gone as Leinster who lead by 14 points to 7, as Treacy finds Toner right at the tail, and Leinster try to maul it back in field and just go around the corner a bit, but it's brought to the ground, sacked well by Lyon. Leinster 5-6 metres out. Treacy with a short little carry. And they go back towards the right again through Ruddock. Another carry for Furlong now. Brings him right into the centre of the pitch, 5 metres out. McGrath has Toner to the right, and they decide to go through with the forwards again. And it looks like they're going to be picking and going. Cian Healy now tries to usher his way up towards the whitewash. Lyon's defence spread out towards the right. Treacy opting to go, but leaves it for Healy. They get towards the line, and now Luke McGrath is going to try play it to the left, and out to Jordan Larmour, who jinks back in towards the centre of the pitch, but he's stopped and loses a couple of yards in the process. Gary Ringrose decides to break from the base of the ruck. And Leinster have numbers on the left if they want to use it, but they decide to go right and into the hands of Scott Fardy, who just had that try ruled out a couple of minutes ago. As we hit the half-hour mark, and they think they've spotted a gap, but they're getting ushered towards the touchline. Inside the 5 metre line. Devin Toner now. Can he get towards the line? Never scored a try in Europe for his province, but he's stopped. And Max Deegan now. Lyon doing well to make these tackles. Leinster struggling to get forward towards the try line. Still 4 or 5 metres out continuously. Ruddock now as they go back towards the left. And out and Devin Toner goes. And can Devin Toner get his way towards the line? Stopped a metre short. Short little ball inside to Gary Ringrose, who tries to wriggle his way. Ben Whitehouse, our referee, falls over. Cian Healy dives towards the line. Inches away now. Deegan dives. Slips. They stopped. Ruddock looks up. He's going to try drive towards now. Carry after carry, phase after phase for Leinster. And Ross Byrne goes to the right and into the hands of Jordan Larmour. He stopped brilliantly. It looked like he was going to get over from there. Leinster still 5 out, just to the right of the post. Penalty advantage coming though. And they can have a cut if they want here. Risk free. Treacy skips it out and James Lowe pops it off and Leinster are in, and that is try number 3. And Dave Carney it is, gets his second of the game. Eventually the Leinster pressure tells, and Dave Carney gets over for Leinster's third try right on 31 minutes. And this time round it's Leinster 19, Lyon 7.
It is, absolutely, this time that was perfect. James Lowe in the midst of that. The great ability keeping his hip square into contact, so he's able to kind of pass inside or out. He's not working back against his shoulder. Stayed very square in a very, very tight margin there. They had the numbers, but there still was enough of defence in on it. But the pass out of the tackle, 2 guys committed in to stop him, because he probably would have, but he still had the ability, ball in 2 hands, just to pop it out around the back of it.
Quite unselfish play, James, from James Lowe as well, because looking at the replay there, he did have a couple of players hanging off him, but he was only a yard or 2 away. Could well have actually made the line himself, but had the easy option of Dave Carney right outside him. Yeah,
look, it's a simple play. It's the obvious play. I just think that Leinster have just made things difficult enough for themselves. I think they should have scored a couple of phases earlier as well, you know. But they still have that ability to kind of stretch around. You saw the backline working around, which they need to do. You're going to expect the French side to put up a front in their own 5-metre line, and they've come off the line. They defended it well, and then when the numbers are tight, that Leinster have stretched it, spotted the opportunity, and scored in the back of it. But again, they can be more clinical when they get into that 22.
Ross Byrne kicks the conversion from an identical position to where he hit the first one, and it comes off the post and it just creeps over the crossbar, and Ross Byrne is 3 out of 3. And with 32 minutes played, Leinster are just 1 away from the bonus point. They lead by 21 points to 7.
They had to have patience there, and that Nagatachi pulled off a fantastic tackle in the midst of that. A one-on-one with
Gary
Ringrose, and you think Ringrose is going to get there on the outside, so there was good patience shown from Leinster.
9 tries this season for Dave Carney. He's been absolutely blistering form. Of course, Leinster sweeping their way with try after try almost in every single game. 14 out of 14 coming into this afternoon, and it looks for all the world now like it's going to be 15 wins out of 15 games this season for them. The kickoff sent just outside the Leinster 22 here on the far side of the pitch as Luke McGrath prepares to box kick into the Lyon half of the pitch, and it's taken, and Lyon bring possession 7-8 metres inside the Leinster half. 15 metres in from that far touchline, and for the first time in quite a while they get their hands on the ball, and Noah Nakatasi picks well and tries to break. Police is swallowed up there brilliantly by the Leinster defence, and they lose a couple of yards in the process. Lambie again now just tries to edge his way forward a couple of yards, just picking and going, trying to weigh up their options. Still 42 metres from the Leinster try line, right in the centre of the pitch. Police again has Lambie outside, and he decides to go out to his out half Jean-Marcelin Boutin, who's tackled by a couple of Leinster players, and again they look to go towards this blind side, and it's tight head prop Francisco Gomez Corella, the former Argentinian international. Big tackle there on Martial Roland, and Boutin outside to our try scorer for Lyon this afternoon, Virgil Brunei. A tackle there on Thibaut Regard, the Lyon captain. Still they're just about 6-7 metres inside the Leinster half of the pitch. Not really threatening Leinster too much, going through some short phases. Not getting the ball too wide, and bunched over on that left side of the pitch where Police is going to go. Brunei and Nakatasi out there, and Brunei tries to just chip through, and they had the penalty advantage coming, and decided the best way to take the penalty was just try something outrageous.
I hope he knew he had the penalty coming.
He did. That wasn't a natural skill. I would point that out. There was a little try to flick from a forward over the top, which again I would have been fond of in my day.
At least you dropped the ball as opposed to bringing the foot up to the...
Yeah, that was definitely properly agricultural. I wonder what it is in terms of the mindset for a team like Lyon. And we know we slag off the French teams that different times they don't take the Heineken Cup seriously, but they have no hope to come out of this group. This is a dead game for them. What is the mindset in relation to it when they are flying fairly high in the 14, and they want to do very well there, and that is their sole goal. how hard is it to go a trip over against a team that seems to win with impunity and who they would expect to lose against? How hard is it to be mentally up for this game? And I know they're professionals, but that is part of the question.
Well, they're certainly having a go now at the moment. They kick that penalty just inside the Leinster 22 and get a good maul working, and a penalty advantage coming as well, and they're driving their way up towards the try line, just 5 metres out now after a really good maul. Police has Virgil Bruno outside, but no advantage coming, says Ben Whitehouse, and we're going to come back for this penalty. There's a little bit of pushing and shoving going on after the collapse of that maul 4 or 5 metres out from the Leinster try line. And players just pulling each other out of the pylon.
Handbags at dawn.
Tame enough handbags even at that.
Well, that's one of the great things actually of the laws of the game and the way the game has gone. You can't throw a punch.
Yeah.
And you don't want to. It's a tough enough game and a physical enough game without clocking somebody.
But I think some of those scenarios as well of just if Leinster feel a little bit lethargic and they just need to kind of get themselves a little bit more up for things, it's not a bad thing just to get a little bit of blood going and getting some temperatures rise, and just to get some sort of reaction off some players. You know, sometimes everyone's kind of, I wouldn't say body language is bad out there, but just a little bit. Like Lyon, you'd expect them to have pulled away, and Lyon are still hanging in there, and they'd be dangerous enough if they're going to be that close.
And they kick that penalty right up towards 5 metres out, and Bruno takes the line out, and they try to get that maul working again. Another advantage coming Lyon's way. Leinster need to watch that discipline, or else they could be going down to 14 sometime soon. Discipline has been a bit of an issue for Leinster so far in this tournament. They're averaging 12 penalties a game conceded. And still the advantage is there, and Bhutan, lovely skip inside, but he's tackled brilliantly by James Treacy 4 or 5 metres from the line, and Police gets it out to his open side flanker Etienne Vesthuizen. Gomez Corella now. Still the advantage is being played in favour of Lyon. Lambie now decides not to break. He gets in over and supports his teammates. And they get towards that line. Lyon, they're getting very, very close. They're just inches away now, and the try is scored, and Lyon have their second of the game. A group of 2 or 3 of them latching onto each other eventually got over the try line. We'll have to see the replay before we find out who got it. But Lyon do have their second try of the game, and they've cut Leinster's lead to 21 points to 12.
Slightly schizophrenic game. I think Leinster, when they have the ball, they're a bit off the mark. They're a little bit passive today, both in attack and defence. I still fully expect them to go and win. It's 38 minutes gone. You see people getting up to go and grab a beer. You know, they're not overly kind of stressed by this and by that score. But you mentioned discipline. For me, discipline isn't just giving away penalties. It's that attention to detail. It is that idea that you do things the way they're supposed to be done all the time. And Leinster have set the standard for the last number of years. Leinster and Saracens actually for the last number of years of how you go about doing that. They're not coming anywhere near to it. Maybe that's a good thing for Leinster. I still expect them to go and get the win, but maybe it's a good thing because they get a bollocking on Monday morning when they come in to say, lads, this is nowhere near good enough. If you think just because you're supposed to win a game that you're allowed to go out and play substandard.
I think they might have to wait till Monday. I'm sure he'll have words in a couple of minutes. Yeah. But I really do think they need that reaction. And if you look at the way Leinster have gone the last couple of times, especially against Connacht, that first 40 absolutely blew them off the park. And the second half just been so lethargic. Again, look, they're so far ahead at that stage, but they're just letting teams back into it. And they don't. You need that killer instinct as well, going further down the line in the competition. And this isn't up to standards. And it does sound strange when a 3 tries up, but
and then you see Ross Byrne kick out on the full, you know, and like they're big frustrations, and it's like people say, well, you didn't prepare well, or you didn't it's like you can't call it a malaise. That's too far, right? Because you're talking they're off maybe 5 or 10% from where they are, but it is infectious. you can see it. You need leaders then to stand up and say, you know, you shouldn't be waiting to half time for Leo to come and say it. You should be in charge of that at the present moment in time. I did see in a couple of the earlier plays, for me it seemed as if Gary Ringrose was taking that role within it, which was needed either by doing something or by saying something. You could see him, he's becoming a bit more vocal. But yeah, they'll be frustrated, you know, which is,
it's no harm.
I would take it when you're winning and
Yeah, exactly,
you're likely to win, that you'll be properly frustrated. Absolutely. And,
It was South African second row Hendrik Root who actually got over for the try. We've had confirmed in the last couple of minutes, and Jonathan Police comfortably knocked over the conversion. So we are back at 21 points to 14 as the clock hits 40. But we will have one final action, a scrum right on halfway. As we mentioned, Ross Byrne's kickoff went straight out into touch, and Lyon will have one last chance to have a crack before the half-time break as Brunei breaks from the scrum towards the left, and that's a lovely offload from Jean-Marcelin Boutin, and Lyon with a mini break here bring themselves up towards the 22, and what a turnaround it would be if they could get another try potentially before half-time. Noah Nakatasi drifting in field before he's eventually brought to ground. Lambie now with a hard carry, who's been very impressive so far, having had to come in just 2 minutes into the game after that injury. And Nakatasi again now, and Lyon working their way in towards the 22. They sense that they might have found a little bit of weakness in Leinster, a little bit of complacency towards this half-time break. Nakatasi again towards Lambie. And as Toby Arnold, but he just spills the ball in contact, and it's turned over into the hands of Leinster. Knock-on is called from referee Ben Whitehouse, and that brings up the half-time whistle. Leinster leading here by 21 points to 14. 3 tries already for Leinster, through 2 for Dave Carney and 1 for Josh van der Fleer. But Lyon, in fairness, we questioned their desire at the start of the game. They have shown something in this latter stages of the first half, and tries for Virgil Brunei and Hendrik Root in the last 15 minutes or so brought them back into the game ever so slightly. Guys, what's been your overall take on the opening 40 minutes?
And my overall take is that you never give a sucker an even break, and I think Leinster aren't playing at the standard that they're used to. The tries were given away by passive defence and passive attack. I think they are going to get a bit of a bollocking when they go in now, and I would have an expectation that we're going to see a very sharp and slightly angry Leinster in the second half.
Particularly, James, in that the opening stages of the second half, do you think they're going to come out and try to put the foot on the throttle?
Yeah, I think so. I think as Keith said there, that they're going to hear about it at half-time now, and it's going to be that first 10-15 that they're going to come out of the blocks. They have to, because they're going to start making changes from, you expect, a 50-55 minute mark. So guys don't want that to be their last kind of foray on a Leinster field. 21-14, who would have thought that at the start? You know, a little bit off. Keith's mentioned again that passive defence, even that last little phase of play there, they're very passive, giving away easy yards to Lyon, and Nakataki's having a bit of an influence as well. He's getting his hands on the ball and causing a bit of havoc.
Keith, any standout performers for you in the opening 40?
No, I think Max Deegan, we mentioned beforehand, I actually think he has shown some decent play. I've also seen Furlong has had a couple of steps before contact, which is good, and he'd one hit. He didn't make the full tackle with it, but kind of stopped everybody in its tracks. Yeah, I think that's about it. I just think they're a little bit off, and now we're going to see who are the people who are taking control of proceedings in the second half. That's what happens. That's where the interest lies in this next second half.
Okay, so it's Leinster who lead here by 21 points to 14. We'll have second half coming up in a little while, but until then, we'll go back to the studio.
Neil, thanks very much. Neil Treacy alongside Keith Wood and James Downey. So half time, 21 points to 14, Leinster at the RDS. Back for the second half very shortly. That is the first of 2 live games we're bringing you in off the ball this Sunday afternoon. Aston Villa against Manchester City coming your way 4:30. Stephen Doyle will be alongside Stephen Hunt. We will also keep you up to date on Bournemouth against Watford and some of the GAA action on around the country as well. We'll run you through everything going on in just one moment.
Leinster versus Lyon, live from the RDS.
On Off the Ball.
With Vodafone, official sponsors of the Irish rugby team. Team of us, everyone in.
Join that conversation. Text us on 53106. Texts cost 30 cents.
Quality, performance and reliability. Volkswagen commercial vehicles are vans that deliver. And until January 31st, they have offers to match. Upgrade bonuses of up to €4,000 across the range. low-cost HP finance. Leasing options from €60 per week with no deposit and maintenance included. Test drive a new Volkswagen van at your local Volkswagen commercial vehicles dealer or visit volkswagenvans.ie and we'll come to you. Lending criteria and terms and conditions apply. Offer for business customers only. Finance where provided by way of hire purchases offered by Volkswagen Bank GmbH Branch Ireland, authorised by the Federal Financial Supervisory Authority in Germany and regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland for conduct of business rules.
The Harvey Norman Big Sale continues with incredible New Year deals and big savings on home appliances. Get your New Year health kick started with the Sage Boss to Go blender, now only €99. That's a saving of €80. Or create tasty and healthy meals with the George Foreman 5-portion grill, now half price at only $29.95. And at Harvey Norman, we're matching all competitors' prices, so why shop anywhere else? The Harvey Norman Big Sale. Don't miss out.
Go, Harvey, go!
Play it, wear it, live it. Whatever you're looking to buy, why not Flexify it? Choose a payment plan that suits you from a wide range of retailers across Ireland. Buy now and pay later with Flexify.com. Terms and conditions apply. See Flexify.com.
Thinking of a new car for the new year? On Dundeal, it's never been easier, with Ireland's widest selection of cars from trusted dealerships. Whether it's warranties or monthly finance, we have every option available for you. Thinking of changing your car? Think Dundeal, Ireland's largest car showroom in the palm of your hand.
The Sport Ireland campus Blanchardstown is the home of Irish sport, not just for our athletes, but for you and the community. For families, check out our kids camps, sport academies and birthday parties. For adults, why not join our newly refurbished gym with a 50-metre swimming pool, or book one of our world-class indoor or outdoor facilities, including our athletics track, sports pitches and courts. And for companies, check out our team building days, conference facilities and events. All this and more at sportirelandcampus.ie.
When people want to talk, they talk to the Sunday Independent. This weekend, as Blondie Cuffig joins Nationwide, she talks about her dark nights of the soul. In Living, Mary Kennedy talks about age, new challenges, and the new man in her life. Owen Harris and Miriam O'Callaghan explore what the RIC controversy says about us, and the true story of Lugalaw, alcohol, bitterness, loneliness, and Garach de Brún. Plus Rachel Allen's comfort food, The Sunday Independent, the complete read.
Mattresses-delivered.ie. Nationwide delivery within 48 hours for free. That's mattresses-delivered.ie. Lowest prices guaranteed. Don't forget the hyphen. T's and C's apply.
What's gravity? When does the grass grow greener? Can people with longer legs jump higher? How are plastic cups made? How filthy are our parents? Which ingredients make the best slime? Why do we dream? Are you faster than a calculator? Could a robot be powered by fruit or vegetables?
When we empower children to investigate the science behind a simple question, the sky's the limit in shaping a brighter future. ESB Science Blast, delivered by the RDS, helps children develop key skills through a non-competitive education program for 3rd to 6th class. Register your class at esbscienceblast.com.
Air France.
La France
is in the air. With our new Oh La La deals, you don't just have to imagine. You can be setting off on a safari from Johannesburg, exploring the floating markets in Bangkok, or visiting the ancient temples of Tokyo. Oh La La, c'est magnifique! You can afford to let your imagination fly far, far away. Air France.
La France
is in the air. Book your flights via Paris from Dublin or Cork Airport by Tuesday the 21st of January at airfrance.ie.
The Harvey Norman Big Sale continues with incredible New Year deals and big savings on TVs and home appliances. Save a massive €250 on the Panasonic 55-inch 4K Smart TV, now just €429. Or get the Zanussi 8kg washing machine with 30-minute quick wash program, now just €299, save €65. And at Harvey Norman, we're matching all competitors' prices, so why shop anywhere else? The Harvey Norman Big Sale. Don't miss out.
Go!
It's time to trade up to a new Peugeot at Gowan Motors, Navan Road. Right now, selected Peugeots come with Peugeot Drive Time. That means flexible payment options, 5-year warranty, and up to €750 deposit contribution, or up to €4,000 scrappage allowance. Available now at Gowan Motors, Navan Road. Terms and conditions apply.
Leinster versus Lyon, live from the RDS.
On Off the Ball.
With Vodafone, official sponsors of the Irish rugby team. Team of us, everyone in.
Treacy skips it out and James Lowe pops it off and Leinster are in, and that is try number 3. And Dave Carney it is, gets his second of the game. Eventually the Leinster pressure tells. And Dave Carney gets over for Leinster's third try, right on 31 minutes.
Yeah, there we are. That was Dave Carney scoring his second try of the afternoon. Leinster's third. It's 21 points to 14 at half-time at the RDS against Lyon. Josh van der Flier with Leinster's other try. So 21 points to 14. Back to Neil Treacy, James Downey, Keith Wood very shortly. Interestingly, Benetton leading Northampton Saints at Franklin's Gardens 10 points to 5 at the break as well in Leinster's pool, although it's all pretty academic at this stage. Leinster through and have been for a full round already at this stage. Nathan Murphy is here. Hello.
How are you?
You're not at a Premier League ground?
Not this week. Spending my Sunday morning with your good self, Joe.
Having a great time. What a treat for all of us. Devin Toner, by the way, so we've already recorded the Sunday papers. I know you're going to run us through everything going on in the world of sport now. We had Hugh Frawley in and David Sneyd in, and given that Devin Toner is playing his 243rd match for Leinster today, which, by the way, leaves him just 15 appearances away from Gordon Darcy's all-time record. Devin is doing just fine.
He's going to be beating that, I suspect.
I suspect, yeah.
So
he's done an interview today ahead of this Lyon game where he's talked about his omission from the World Cup with all the Sunday papers. It's in all the papers. Peter O'Reilly is where I'm reading from here, for instance, in the Sunday Times. We'll cover it in the Sunday papers. Talks at length about being on the couch with his wife Mary. Joe Schmidt pops up on his mobile phone. Well, that's not good. This is the night before the squad's due to be announced. Shock he talks about on the first night. People would say I'm quite level-headed, but I was disappointed, bitterly disappointed, and then talked about anger. But the interesting point he makes is that, well, Joe Schmidt said that he had fears that Devin Toner was going to be cited for a tackle and that this was the main reason he was leaving him out of the World Cup squad. Whereas Toner says, the conversation I had with Joe was I wasn't going because they needed a tight headlock and I didn't show enough in the pre-season games. Coming to the tail end of the conversation, he mentioned something about a tackle, but he never used it as an excuse as to why I wasn't going or why I wasn't getting picked. So when I saw him say that, to me, that's just an excuse. When Joe mentioned it, I didn't know what he was talking about. I didn't even remember a tackle. So Devin Toner disagreeing with that version of events. I mean, either way, look, this isn't a massive scandal. I suspect the truth is Joe Schmidt didn't want to come out to the public and say, well, Devin hasn't been playing well enough in the pre-season games and I want a bigger, beefier, tight head lock. And that's the reason Jean Klein is going. So maybe he hammed up the fears over Devin Toner being cited, but it's certainly not Toner's recollection of the phone call.
I've never read an interview with a player who didn't make a squad for a World Cup, football, rugby, you name it, where the coach comes out well of the conversation.
True.
No player goes, you know what, I was really thankful to the way he told me that the biggest moment of my life wasn't going to happen. And there is obviously a bit of a pile-on Joe Schmidt and things didn't go well, and the fact that it was Jean Klein adds an extra layer of probably disgust for most people. And Devin Toner, again, in that interview comes across as such a likeable character that you would love to have been there. You do kind of think, though, considering all he had given to Joe Schmidt and played every single game of every single championship victory, and they spent so much time in camp together, how does it always end up as a phone call?
Yeah. I guess it's. I mean, it must just be such a busy time.
And then you are, and Joe Schmidt would sit here. Well, you're saying that Devin Toner deserves extra special treatment compared to the 10 other guys I also had to call, which would be totally unfair on them. So there's no nice way of doing it.
There's not. And where do you draw that line, as you say? Well, like how far down the list do you go? He gets it in person. He gets it in person.
It is worse
just about
when
gets it in person.
It's an absolute shock.
Yeah.
When you're sitting at home thinking, and everybody is telling him, you're going to the World Cup. If you'd spoken to Devin Toner, the conversation would have been having of, are all the family heading over? There's no, you're sweating about your place here.
No, not at all. He said Ron Nagara sent him a brilliant text message to say, don't let this define you as a player. You've loads of years left. Don't let this define you to move on. He said that meant a lot to him. But we'll come to that in the Sunday paper review. You can download it, Hugh Frawley and David Sneyd, or we'll play you a decent chunk between now and kick-off in the Premier League game. We're bringing you 4:30. That's Aston Villa against Manchester City. Hugh Frawley, by the way, has been speaking to people around the Munster camp, and the word on Johan van Graan was less than fully complimentary, I would say. So we'll cover that in the Sunday paper review, which we'll bring to you between these two matches. So Leinster are cruising. There's no great... Well, they're not playing brilliantly, but they're 21 points to 14 up. They're most likely going to win this game. In that sense, they're cruising. There's other bits and bobs going on.
Yeah, 21-14 back for second half commentary. Leinster, in all likelihood, going to end this group stage as the top seeds heading into the knockout stages. The only other team that could maybe put some pressure on them are Racing 92. So Leinster will be hoping Munster do them a favour. But more importantly than that, it pretty much is win or bust there's maybe some mathematical ways that Munster could still be in it, but it's highly unlikely if they were to lose today in Paris to Racing that they'd have any chance of reaching the knockout stage. That one gets underway at 3:15. We'll keep you up to date with that throughout the afternoon. Obviously, Saracens, with a victory yesterday, came from behind to beat the Ospreys, means that despite again putting out a very much second string side and being reduced to 14 men inside the opening couple of minutes, they still look as though they're going to reach the knockout stage, the defending champions. Exeter progressed to the last 8 as well. They drew 31-all with Glasgow. There is the possibility that we could end up with Exeter against Saracens in the quarter-final, which would just be fantastic.
Could end up with Leinster Saracens as well, actually. That could be Leinster's reward for topping everybody.
Yeah, I think that's probably unlikely. Yeah, it'll be touch and go.
Full round to go.
It will be touch and go. Ulster almost certain to reach the knockout stage, but not as pool winners now. As one of the runners-up, they were beaten 29-13 by Clermont Auvergne yesterday, but Ulster in a good position to take one of those final spots. And Connacht, unfortunately for them, their European campaign is over. They were beaten yesterday 21-7 by Toulouse. Andy Friend saying after the game that sick of saying, we got some learnings out of this. Eventually, they need to start putting some performances in. Disappointing European campaign for Connacht. In golf, closing round of 64, seeing Shane Lowry finish second in his season opener at the Hong Kong Open. Finished on 13 under par, 4 shots off Australian Wade Ormsby. This wasn't a European Tour event. It was cancelled from the end of last year due to the protests in Hong Kong. So it wasn't like unbelievable field.
No, I think Shane Lowry and Tony Finau were the only players in the top 50. But still, when it's your season opener and you shoot a 64 and you finish second, that's a very good performance. We were saying in Golf Weekly during the week, it's hard to believe that the win in Abu Dhabi was last season. It just feels like it was the Open and that was it. But actually, he was a 2-time winner last year. So he defends at Abu Dhabi next week.
Yeah, that's where he's heading now. So it was a very nice little start to the year for Shane Lowry. In the Premier League, Manchester City will this afternoon look to move up to second place in the Premier League and reduce the gap on the Premier League leaders, Liverpool, all the way down to 14 points. Although Liverpool would have a game in hand. They take on Aston Villa. That one gets underway at 4:30. We'll have live commentary here and Off the Ball with Stephen Doyle and Stephen Hunt. First up, though, at 2 o'clock and just getting underway is Bournemouth against Watford. Both these sides in the relegation zone. Mark Travers, the Irish goalkeeper, starting for Bournemouth in the Premier League for the first time this season. Gaelic Games, Port Joyce taking charge of the Galway senior footballers for the first time. They're in Castlebar to play Mayo in the FBD League. They're expecting 5,000 people at that one.
That's Mayo. With Tom Parsons back in the side.
Which is brilliant to see. First time since that horror injury against Galway. Plenty of other games taking place as well around those pre-season tournaments.
Very good. We'll keep an eye on all those across the afternoon. In the meantime, let's get back over to the RDS. We have James Downey and Keith Wood alongside Neil Treacy.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Nathan. Second half just back underway here at the RDS. Leinster playing from left to right in this second half of the game, leading by 21 points to 14 after what was probably a frustrating end to the first half where they lost a lot of their momentum, conceding a late try to Hendrik Root and just all-round sloppy play. But James and Keith, they'll be looking for a fast start now in the second half to just build up that momentum all over again and just seal that bonus point early enough.
It's pretty important that they do so. They need to interest some of the defenders, so they're mixing it between forwards and backs. But the passing is very, very sloppy. Nobody running onto the ball, particularly. Balls kind of players having to readjust to catch. A couple of poor passes from Ross Byrne.
And Luke McGrath sends the box kick up in the direction of the 10-metre line on that far side of the pitch, but it's taken well by Toby Arnold, the Lyon full-back. 10 metres inside the Leinster half on that far touchline. Lyon in possession of the ball for the first time in this second half, and it's Gomez Codela, the tight head, who makes a short little carry. Lyon, in fairness, we questioned their desire before the game and in the early stages when Leinster were dominating, but they have worked themselves back into the game as it's worn on.
Crikey.
Certainly haven't thrown in the towel at this stage, but that's a very, very loose kick from their out half, Jean-Marcel Boutin, before eventually Jordan Larmour takes no chances and finds a safe touch up towards the halfway line, just inside the Leinster half of the pitch.
Well, that's 2.5 minutes of our life we can't get back. There was absolutely nothing happened. They were back at the halfway line and it wasn't even shadow boxing.
No, but again, you look at it, we spoke just before half time about you expect a reaction, Leo to give some harsh words to the Leinster guy, but the passes are the quality of passing, nothing's out in front, it's all checking someone, no one's running onto the ball, it's pretty static. And it's nearly like it's not on for me, so it's not on, they're going to ship it on to the next person, and there's no momentum to it, just to get him in behind, and this Lyon side are just hanging in. Conversely then, I've never seen a kick like that now from a 10, just to kick it aimlessly up in the air with no chase.
Well, that was the crikey from me. He was aiming to kind of have a box, almost like a box kick from 10 to land down on the far winger, and he miscued it, and it nearly went to the near winger. So it was
with 14 men in front of him.
With 14 men in front of him, it was quite extraordinary.
So a Lyon line out just inside the Leinster half of the pitch on the far touch line, and Alkajashvili finds Felix Lambe, but is knocked on by the scrum half, Jonathan Pelisse. And it's going to be a scrum for Leinster right on the halfway line, and just the sloppiness again, guys, in this early stages of the second half. The Leinster fans trying to make a bit of noise here.
Can I ask you a question, James? For Ross Byrne, he often takes the ball standing. Does that make it harder for the guys outside, or would you want your 10 to maybe attack the line with the ball? So he's taking it standing and passing standing. For me, 1 or 2 steps at least. You've got to interest the 10, or you've got to interest the 7 to take that heat off the centres. Otherwise, like we spoke about it, your 10's going to drift off, and you're putting the pressure on Robbie Henshaw and Gary Ringrose then, and they have an extra player in front of him. If he can just fix him a little bit, it doesn't have to be too much, because you don't want to take it out of the line, but it also depends on the play. If you're going into width, you want to get the ball in their hands early and get it to width. But here they haven't been going to width. So yeah, I'd prefer, and I'd like Ross to take it a little bit more to the line. It's a massive work on for him. I think for that next level to be that top quality international, his game management is second to none. But he's got to get it, taking it to the line.
Scrum goes to ground, but we play on, and James Lowe gets his hands on and plays it out to Robbie Henshaw, who just runs straight through the middle unchallenged and brings possession up towards the 22. And Lyon slow it down. Penalty advantage coming for Leinster. Scott Fardy with a short little carry as they work their way towards 16-17 metres out. Tyke Furlong now towards the right, another short carry, and Lyon holding on once more, but we're going to play on. And Ross Byrne, a loose pass, sends possession back out towards the 22, but Jordan Larmour dives on it and recovers for Leinster. They do still have a penalty advantage coming. Max Deegan shrugs off a couple of challenges and gains 2-3 yards that he had absolutely no right to take. Ross Byrne now coming onto it hard and plays it inside to Gary Ringrose, who already has 6 tries in this competition. The tournament's top try scorer, 2 hat-tricks, 1 against Benetton, 1 against Northampton. Rhys Ruddock does well to hold on to that, and Ross Byrne slaps it out brilliantly to Jordan Larmour, who cuts back inside. Advantage still being played for Leinster, 5 metres out, 10 metres to the left of the posts, as they try to get this bonus point try. And James Lowe now working his way towards the try line, out the cat flap to Josh van der Fleer, and is he over? He is. Try number 4 for Leinster, right on 45 minutes. Good start to the second half, and that brings up the bonus point.
Is he pulling that back for forward pass?
I think he might be, but as if to highlight what we were discussing, the reason that whole piece of play, which moved 50 metres, and it happened because James Lowe went to out half, attacked the game line and passed the ball, pulled it back, having drawn 2 players in.
I think the sun might have been in the assistant referee's eyes, because he's told Ben Whitehouse, you might just have a look rather than calling it straightforward pass.
I also think it's helped by a bit of inept defending. Off that side, you get the winger coming in off the scrum, and he's going to interest the 10 to 12, and then you've Robbie Henshaw, who's run a great line on the short one, but the 13's come into no man's land and left a huge gap.
James Lowe looks like a man who isn't quite sure as he got that pass back or not, and he just looks to throw it out, the offload out to Josh van der Fleer. What are you thinking there, guys?
Slightly forward, I think, yeah. Well, again, that angle, just a little drop maybe.
Excellent finish from Van der Fleer to dot it down in the corner, but as we watch, tackled by Nakatasi and just flicks it out to the left as James Lowe into the hands of Van der Fleer.
That's forward, and if people say that is under momentum, they don't understand the laws of physics.
Well, we'll see if Ben Whitehouse understands the law of physics. He's standing in front of the big screen in front of us. Leinster have already had 2 tries ruled out. Luke McGrath in the opening minute of the game, as well as Scott Fardy.
It's like we touched on it earlier about how long it takes to make these decisions.
Ball goes forward,
and they're showing the replay again and again, because you know that they're unsure. They're just making sure. make a decision. It's pretty obvious there that it's gone forward now.
Yeah, they have made their decision, and Ben Whitehouse and his assistant are running back towards the play.
Just to highlight that again, if for momentum to be the case, you have to be going dead straight as fast as you physically possibly can. Your hands go back, but the laws of momentum mean that the ball will continue carrying forward as it's passed laterally. That's what it is. If you're sauntering like you're doing there and it goes even moderately forward,
there's no momentum.
There is absolutely not enough momentum to actually make that go back.
So forward pass is the official call, but Leinster do have their penalty. Scott Fardy was given choice of a couple of options there, so 5 metres out, just 5-6 metres to the left of the post. They're going to scrum it down. Sorry to interrupt there, Keith, you were about to say something.
We made that call 2 minutes ago because it was forward. I mean, this is not a debating society.
No, but you can see his hand as well. The hand doesn't even turn to knock it back. It goes like that and it slides forward. It's, yeah. The next thing now we need to do is actually stop the clock for scrums.
Well, maybe
not today. Maybe not today.
That'd be nice.
I definitely lose all credibility because I have a bit of a passion for scrummaging.
So attacking platform for Leinster, 5 metres out from the Lyon try line. 46 minutes played, and it's still Leinster who lead by 21 points to 14. Their bonus point try ruled out. Josh van der Fleer thought he might have had his second of the game, but the forward pass was called. But we have come back for this penalty. Leinster opting to scrum it. And Max Deegan, is he going to break from the base of this? It looks like he might. Luke McGrath is just standing back a couple of yards from it as Leinster try to move forward. Penalty advantage coming off this scrum, so they can have a free shot here. And Luke McGrath tries to go himself towards the try line. Doesn't quite get there. He's stopped a yard or two short. Still penalty advantage coming Leinster's way. Lyon just smothering up that Leinster attack. But Leinster eventually get it to ground, and too many bodies lying on top of it. We are going to come back again for that Lyon penalty. And they've been warned now. That's 2-3 times in a row they've been penalised. Not rolling away is the call.
No, and I think off the scrum there, it's an interesting setup Leinster have. The two guys stood right directly behind. You've got Robbie Henshaw, first receiver on the right, and I think it was Gary Ringrose, first receiver on the left. So there's going to be an option there. You can push Luke McGrath to have Robbie Henshaw short, and you have someone out the back then, so you've both a front door and a back door option on both sides.
They've gone for the scrum here again. For me, if they can get even the slightest hint of a tight head up, which is up on the right hand side, and this is one of the reasons why I like Max Deegan. He has the gas to get off the back there, to almost get to the line to score. So he's going to go to run it at 10. Is he big enough, strong enough, fast enough to do that without any other guy getting a hand on him? And that's what you'd like to see. Tight head, just get a tiny little nudge up. That's why scrums are exciting.
But you can see here on the short blind side that they're unsure as to where to mark up, and they're bringing the 12 over. But again, I think off this, with no 9 defending it, it's perfect. As you say, Max has got that low centre of gravity and that speed off the mark to who's going to stop him from 5 metres with no 9 on top, and they're just going to have to bite straight in.
Yeah, so Gary Ringrose and Jordan Larmer just standing one behind each other directly behind the scrum, and that's, as James, as you were saying, just trying to create that bit of uncertainty in the Lyon defence of not being able to commit men right across the pitch. But we are going to reset this scrum.
And you can see it in Bhutan on the blind side. He's looking over, he's unsure because they have James Lowe tight in the touchline and
Ross Byrne as well.
And he's worried, he's looking and he's constantly talking. And the 9's there as well. It's a short space, but he obviously doesn't want to be there. You don't want to have James Lowe run a short line.
It's a nice size blindside as well, kind of 17-18 metres, just big enough to create that little bit of doubt where you can't just put in one man and trust him to cover.
There's always doubt. That's one of the pleasures of defence, is actually trying to make certain you're able to cover the vast majority of bases, but you can't cover them all.
Let's go. So scrum is set, and again a Leinster free kick coming, and Max Deegan decides to tap and go quickly and get towards the line. And is he going to get over for his try? Stop just short. Leinster go again. Tyg Furlong, the pass from Cian Healy was loose, and eventually penalty Leinster, and we are going to have a card here for Lyon. It looks like penalty after penalty conceded, and Ben Whitehouse, he's stopped the clock. He's bringing aside a couple of players for a quick chat. And is he just giving an official warning, or is he going to go towards the pocket?
He was going to the pocket.
He certainly looked like he was. I saw a hand going there. Although, is that the old trick for the referees down the years? They put the hand in the pocket and
he's going to
take out a tissue and just blow the nose.
He's going to have a look at VAR.
to see was there potentially any foul play is what he's looking for maybe.
But this is just, that's, you know.
I know.
Was that a deliberate knock?
He's making the
Deliberate
decision
knock
out there, and now he's nearly second-guessed himself to make sure that is this the exact decision.
So he's looking up at the big screen, potentially to see was there a deliberate slap down from one of the Lyon players.
Well, that's fine if his feet are behind the line. So, which I think they are.
It was Felix Lambe who is the man who looks like he might be in a bit of trouble. Whitehouse just walking back, and he's told him he slapped down the arm of Cian Healy as he went to pass that out to Tadhg Furlong, and it is going to be a yellow card. Felix Lambe goes to the naughty step for the next 10 minutes. 48 minutes played, and this time round with Lyon losing a man in the scrum, surely Leinster are just going to pack it down one more time.
Absolutely, definite pick and go, off you go, try. Simple game.
Simple game, very simple game.
So just ever so slightly a yard or two further to the left, but still just 5 metres out from the try line.
Makes all the difference.
And Lyon, interestingly, you can see that they've brought the centre into pack down as well, which is surprising. Normally when you're down to that 7, okay, I suppose that you don't want to get pushed over, but you're going to be very vulnerable elsewhere. Normally in the defensive one, you're just going to pack down with your 2, leave the number 8 slot free.
Thibaut Regard, their captain and inside centre, looks like he's gone over to the blind side of the scrum.
Deegan is in the pocket.
He's ready for the ball, and Deegan breaks and goes himself, but he's stopped well by Virgil Brunei. A yard or two short. Fardy now out to Rhys Roddick, and he's going to try get towards the line, but a couple of Lyon players get in on top of him. Can he get towards there? Ben Whitehouse says he's held up, and we are going to come back once more, and it's going to be another chance for Leinster with a 5 metre scrum.
And you actually see Regard is Max Deegan is gone, and Regard's actually still pushing in the scrum as he's gone there, and there's only a great tackle by Brunei to prevent it.
You could telegraph that play from as soon as the scrum was awarded, really. Deegan was just ready to break. Luke McGrath standing a yard or two back.
We used to do it a couple of times, I know it's a long time ago, where we'd get the backs to pack down just to tell them and show them exactly how hard it is to scrummage. That there may be fun in it, but not that much fun for backs.
It's not too bad on the blind side now. I've had a couple of let's put the shoulder in, but it used to frustrate when you see it now on the line 8, maybe a line 8 5 metres out, and you have the backs who pile in and just normally take out their own players. Yeah, absolutely.
So again they go, this time 5 metres out, and this scrum is right in the centre of the pitch, right in between the posts. And again Gary Ringrose standing right off the scrum, Jordan Larmour behind him, and 2 men either side.
This is a blight on the game. The last 7 or 8 minutes that we've had here, which has been nothing but scrum reset, yellow card, scrum reset. You know, this for me, and I'm going to say this, and we've been critical of Leinster not getting up to the high level of attitude that we've come to expect from them. I don't think we're helped by the refereeing order. This is the most pedantic, and this is rubbish, actually, to have to deal with this all the time, for everything having to go to VAR. If a referee makes a decision, rugby players are conditioned to accept the decision, and they'll just get on with it. But this kind of having to make certain everything is perfect for the referee assessor is not good for the game.
So we didn't miss anything as Keith was talking, just to probably highlight his point. Ben Whitehouse was chatting away to the front rows.
Am I talking too much? I probably am, in fairness. I probably am.
Well, as you pointed out, we have a lot of gaps to talk through this afternoon, a lot of stoppages, but eventually the scrum is set, and Luke McGrath puts it in, and Max Deegan keeps his eye on it and passes it out to McGrath, who goes himself and plays it to Gary Ringrose, and Jordan Larmour tries to break, but he's stopped well by Nakatasi, although is there a high arm there across the shoulder? No, says Keith Wood. 5 metres in from this near touchline, 6-7 metres out, and Max Deegan again gets another couple of yards that he really had no right to. Tadhg Furlong the latest to carry and try get towards the try line. Scott Fardy out to Cian Healy, drifting back in field just to the right of the post. Next up to carry is going to be Max Deegan again, and he dives over straight between the two posts, right under the six, and that is the bonus point try for Leinster. Max Deegan, just as he did last week, 2 tries last week, another try this evening. And Max Deegan brings up the bonus point. Leinster lead, conversion to come. It's going to be 28 points to 14.
I always say it, you have to bring it back to the front row, you know. So Tadhg Furlong had a great carry in the midst of that. The one little piece that you don't see very often is Cian Healy took the ball into contact, but he took it into a position where he was so unbelievably strong. He held the ball on his hip. There was never going to be a delay. The scrum half knew exactly when the ball was going to come out from. Everything was going. He was very, very solid. It just put huge pressure on Lyon, because he could have gone forward himself to try and score. They had to resort that. Suddenly there's a gap. One pass and Deegan scores under the post.
Max Deegan, just as he did against Lyon in the game in France, scored the only try of the game that afternoon. He's brought up Leinster's 4th so far. That's the bonus point secure. And Ross Byrne's chip conversion was as easy as you like. 28 points to 14 they lead. And Lyon beginning to make a couple of changes here, swapping around 2 of their front row. Hooker Bardry Akajashvili has gone off along with Francisco Gomez Corella, and in comes Jeremy Mourart and Kevin Yamego. That tight head prop. Kick down is deep in the direction of Robbie Henshaw, who sends a long kick back up towards fullback Toby Arnold, who collects it just outside the 22 and brings it up towards the 10-metre line before he decides to send a Gary Owen up into the air. Jamieson Gibson Park tried to contest. Gibson Park just on in place of Luke McGrath. Peter Dooley and Sean Cronin both onto the pitch as well, as is Andrew Porter. Leinster deciding right on 50 minutes is the ideal opportunity to start getting some minutes into the legs for Sean Cronin as well. Obviously his first European appearance of the campaign. He'd been laid up with a back injury since the end of the World Cup. Has only got a few games under his belt so far this season, disrupted by that injury. With 6 tries in the tournament last year, he's always a potent weapon at the back of a ruck, or at the back of a driving maul.
Full front row change there as well. I've been impressed with Tadhg Furlong today as well. He's carried a lot, he's offered himself an awful lot, and he's got that, for a tight head, that footwork he can do just before contact, and it makes such a difference, just even on presentation, the way if you're falling the right way, slows down that, or it speeds up the ball that you want going forward. Be interesting to see how these boys go on now in the front row. Full front row change.
Yeah, I think so. I think for Tadhg Furlong, I think he picked up a couple of injuries over the last year, very small ones that just take a little bit out of you. He's also a man who has to carry a fairly hefty weight. He has to deliver all the time for Ireland, for the Lions, you know, for Leinster, and you know, all the competitions he plays in, he has to be a key figure, and that exacts a toll. I mean, he's a guy who could do with a little bit of a rest at some stage, because I'd like to see him for another 7 or 8 years playing for Ireland, and he has that capacity to do so.
Is the emergence of Andrew Porter then just the perfect antidote to that?
Well, I think we need strength and depth all the time. We need depth charts all the time. But also we want to see our best players playing at their best, not having to grind them into the ground. Even it could be for the want of 2 or 3 extra games a year might be enough just to tip them over, because it has to be for the big tournaments that they've played, that they've taken a part of. They exact a toll, so you can't make you fresher by playing more. That doesn't happen. And so look, it's the better strength and depth we have everywhere for Leinster, for Ireland, the better chance we're going to see these players playing at the top level, but achieving at the top level. And
first action for Andrew Porter is to win a scrum advantage off a penalty advantage off a scrum, and they get possession out towards James Lowe, who sends a grubber kick just a little bit too long, but Noah Nakatasi picks it up. But there's going to be no advantage coming. We are going to come all the way back 10 metres inside the Leinster half of the pitch, where Leinster are going to have a penalty. Andrew Porter just getting the shove up on his opposite number 17, Raphael Chaume, who also came in for Lyon in the last few minutes in place of Hamza Kabash.
Well, I would have gone there. There was I couldn't see who it was when the Leinster backs slipped, and that's why Nakatashi got away, and that's why he called it back. But that would have been a good advantage to have 5 yards from the line to play on. But there are too many players slipping today.
Yeah. And again, I suppose with the footwear now, they're kind of like your soccer studs, you know. They're the smaller size, and they're the half and halves as well. Some of them a bit of mouldy in it as well. And
I used to play with half and halves in the front row.
Okay.
But you just need to make certain that the studs are long enough, the ones that are studs, to be able to hold in.
But they won't change them. They are that small, you know. They're very minuscule in size, and as I say, they're like football ones. So, but the grass looks perfect, as you say. It doesn't look too long at all. So there should be no excuses.
Cronin finds Devin Toner 10 metres inside this Leinster half, and Raphael Chaume, the replacement Lucid, tries to get in over the maul but doesn't succeed, and Gibson Park now to Ross Byrne, and that's a very good tackle. Byrne swallowed up in the middle of the pitch.
Byrne has to make that pass.
And Lyon slowing this up very well, and they've won the penalty, they've won the turnover. A couple of players getting in over the top of it. I think it was our try scorer Hendrik Root, the second row, was the man who's getting the pats on the back for that one, but turnover for Lyon, and a penalty and a chance to bring their possession into the Leinster half of the pitch.
Yeah, I think if Byrne gets that away, he's gone straight into a massive gap, and they're right in behind him then, and he's probably going to score.
Yeah, it's a try. If two passes get away there.
But what I like, the impact of Gibson Park is the tempo he brings and the speed. So hopefully he can get it going and keep this momentum, keep this tempo up, because it seems a little bit lethargic again. I think it goes back to those scrums we had as well. It's slow. Like Lamby's back on 10 minutes. Not too much has happened.
A lot of scrum resets in those 10 minutes. Yeah. So Felix Lambe back on the pitch. Lyon back to their full complement. Around 5 metres out from the Leinster 22. And a chance for them to get something out of this game at this stage. Just a reminder as well for those interested in events at Franklin's Gardens, Benetton now lead Northampton Saints by 17 points to 12. They've played 56 minutes. A Benetton win there with my back of the beer mat mathematics would make things a little bit more interesting for Munster fans. But we'll have to wait and see really what happens at 3:15 this afternoon, as Lyon get bundled into touch 5-6 metres out from the Leinster try line. But 3:15, it's going to be a nervous afternoon for Munster fans, guys.
Yeah, it is. I think often Munster fans would go with a level of expectation. I think today there's a higher level of hope.
Sean Cronin finds Max Deegan towards the tail of that line out 6 or 7 metres out from Leinster's own try line. Gibson Park looks like he wants to get the ball out of that maul as quick as he can, as Lambe gets in over the top and tries to slow things up, but that maul continues to move before eventually it hits the ground. But Gibson Park has it in his hands and sends the box kick straight out into touch, bringing possession around 30 metres out from the Leinster try line. Lyon ball.
It's a very flat game, gents, isn't it? It's, the crowd have tried to get excited a few times. I think when the scores have gone, obviously the fans are happy, but there's very little edge to the game.
Yeah, it's like you expect a lot more, I think, from this Leinster side, given how they've gone the past while, given their record. And yeah, it is. It's just a little bit flat. The crowd's flat. The sun's gone down, and the players, there's just no tempo or there's no urgency, it seems, out there.
And Max Deegan almost disrupts that line out, but it's Yamego, the tight end proper, recovers for Lyon and presents it to his scrum half Sam Hidalgo-Klein, former Scottish international. He's been on almost like a freelance rugby player the last year or so. He had a short spell at Harlequins, then joined Racing 92, was covered during the World Cup, and at the start of December then moved to Lyon again on a 3-month contract, just playing his second game for the club. And that loose kick is in the hands of Dave Carney, and Carney sends it back towards Jean-Marcel Mboutan. And Mboutan just tries a little chip over the top, but it's read well by Robbie Henshaw, who gathers 6-7 metres inside the Lyon half, and Leinster opt to go to the blind side with it. Ross Byrne shifts it out towards the left, and Gibson Park now, as Peter Dooley carries. Gibson Park again to Jordan Larmour.
It's a great feat.
Bizarrely, Jordan Larmour hasn't actually scored a try this season, but has the most defenders beaten and the most metres of any player in this tournament so far. He's been absolutely electric and has done everything but score a try. And that's a poor pass from Gibson Park, and Peter Dooley does well to recover, and Leinster keep possession as they bring it up towards the 22. Grubber kick through, out into touch, 6-7 metres from the Lyon line, but Lyon are going to have the throw into this line-out.
Seems to be a bit more of a tactical change now as well, in terms of there's a lot more kicking from Leinster, and obviously the passing game hasn't been going to hand. The words come on, let's play some territory, let's play down there.
Territory, forwards taking the ball up, trying to get fast ball, turning slow ball into fast ball, not getting the backs to do it. It's almost as if they expect the backs to break the gain line at ease.
I like seeing when James Lowe comes into the line and gets his hands on the ball. He has the ball in two hands every single time until he's looking for offloads, and then he puts it into one, but he always has two, and he's always looking to keep that ball alive, and he's always a pleasure to watch.
One more change now for Lyon, and potentially an exciting one for these last 17 minutes, as Josh Tuisova comes onto the pitch, former Fijian Sevens player, gold medal winner at the 2016 Olympic Games, and an absolutely brilliant player, joined from Toulon in the summer. Was also part of Fiji's World Cup squad, but a very, very exciting player. He's come on in place of their captain Thibaut Rigard. Tuisova potentially, if he gets the ball in hand, might give us something to smile about in these last 17 minutes.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of playing against him before, and thank God he was on the wing rather than in midfield, because he looked like he's had a good Christmas, and certainly wouldn't want him coming down the channel.
He looks the furthest thing from a winger.
And the thing is, he's got that serious pace stepping, and he can actually shift, and you look at him and physically you'll be like, oh look, he mightn't have too much gas, but he certainly does, and I wouldn't like to step into those shoulders. Obviously
the numbers vary, listed at 109 kilos when I was looking at him yesterday.
I'd say 109 plus VAT maybe.
Dave Carney now carries and gets possession up, and it's Tuisova who does stop him 6-7 metres inside the 22. Porter now carries as Leinster move it back towards the left. Gibson Park is told to go right by Ross Byrne, and Ross Byrne hanging on his shoulder brings Leinster into within 5 metres from the line, and penalty advantage coming, and penalty is given, and it looks like Ben Whitehouse is going to his pocket again. We're going to have another Lyon card,
and if it is Lambie, it means a red card,
and it is, no, it's their winger Xavier Mignot.
I think that was a little bit hard. I thought Scott Fardy went off his feet, and the clean off, he went in over the top, which stopped anybody else being able to get in on the ball.
And as well as that, Lambe is being spoken to, I think at this point actually as captain, after Thibaut Rigard had gone off.
We haven't really mentioned him, but Dave Carney has played very well today. I mean, he scored a couple of tries, but he's had a couple disallowed, and he has been in and around everything. He's been very abrasive, and he's looked to get involved, which is what you want your wingers to do. And actually, between himself and Lowe, they are cropping up in different places around the field.
They haven't, I think Gary Ringrose has been solid enough as well, but they've had more of an impact on the midfielders. I think Robbie's had a quiet game at 12.
That penalty kicked into touch in a line out Leinster, and Sean Cronin has his hands on the back of it, and Sean Cronin dives for the line, and Sean Cronin is over, and that's Leinster's 5th try of the afternoon. Sean Cronin on his first European appearance of the season. It's been a frustrating campaign for him so far, disrupted with that back injury. But a simple line out, kicked into touch, 5 metres out, got them all moving, and Sean Cronin, as he did so often when he scored 6 tries in last year's competition, just breaks from the back and gets over the line. And Leinster have their 5th try with a conversion to come, 33 points to 14.
It was a lovely technical try. Deegan got the ball, it was shifted away from him, and there was a shear off into the open side. And then of course you have Cronin at the back. He's got serious gas from a standing start. The Lyon props couldn't get around to try and fill that gap. There was no pillars. He was able to expose it. Fine play. What's the height of Max Deegan? Because he has been winning an awful lot of Leinster's ball. They're also throwing him up in an awful lot of them as well.
I think he's about 6'3", 6'3", 6'4", if that. But yeah, he does. And because he looks light, you can get him up in the air, and it can be like a sort of a Pete O'Mahony. You can bring him to the front of the line as well on the defensive play.
Well, after Sean Cronin managed to drift back in towards the post and steal a few more yards for Ross Byrne, this conversion doesn't appear to be too difficult, around 17-18 metres in from the touch line, and Ross Byrne makes no mistake, and that's 5 out of 5 for him this afternoon off the tee. And Leinster leading now by 35 points to 14. Just under 15 minutes left to play at the RDS.
Rossburn has kicked beautifully off the tee. Some of those kicks have been from the touchline and they've never looked like they weren't going over.
That's Leinster's 25th try of the tournament this season in just under 5 games. They're the top try scorers in the competition this season, and it looks for all the world with 1 game against Benetton to go. They're going to be the number 1 seed heading into the quarterfinals. A win of any kind would do that for them, guaranteed. Bring them up to 29 points. As we mentioned earlier, just Biarritz are the only team in 2007 to have ever hit 29. Saracens on a couple of occasions making it to 28. Ross Byrne just sends a grubber kick down into the corner of the pitch and finds touch 10 metres from the Lyon try line.
We talked about simple plays earlier. I think perfect take from Fardy, and then you see Ross Byrne, that's a perfectly delayed pass to Robbie Henshaw, and then sees the defence is up, space in behind, puts boot to ball, and from 2 simple plays, the pressure's on the Lyon line out, 10 metres out.
It's the right play. When there's a player down as well, you have that extra little bit of space. You can see the cameras have after panning onto Andy Farrell, New Ireland coach. He'll be looking at this with interest.
What players will have jumped out for him this afternoon?
Strangely, I think Dave Carney will. I think Max Deegan will. They'd be maybe the 2 standouts for today. We know that James Lowe qualifies. When is that? That's pretty soon.
Towards the end of the year.
Yeah. And to see what's possible. I think he'll be happy with the front row, how they've shown up today.
Leinster collapsing that Lyon maul as they got up towards their own 22, penalty advantage coming their way. And we have stopped the game. It is going to be a penalty for Lyon. Just inside their own 22, right up towards that far touchline. Ben Whitehouse stopping play because Lyon's first try scorer, Virgil Brunei, has gone down and looks to be in a little bit of pain at the moment.
Checking on his ankle.
Another stoppage for us with 13 minutes left to play. But James, back to what we were talking about there, Andy Farrell up in the stands. The guys he would have been impressed with so far. Dave Carney, we mentioned Max Deegan as well. On the Deegan, Quaylen Doris situation, even if you turn it towards Ireland as well. You also have CJ Stander in there, who up until now had been pretty much the de facto number 8. Jack Conan injured as well, and all of a sudden he has these 2 guys at Leinster who are pretty much outdoing themselves week on week.
Yeah, and it's that competition that's driving it, but I think that edges Max as well, is that his versatility as well. Actually, he can slip him onto the blind side or into 7 as well, and you can cover a little bit of second row. But everything he brings at ball in hand has been top class today.
Free kick for Lyon just off the back of that line out. Leinster closing the gap a little bit too quickly, and Lyon bring possession up towards the halfway line through Bruna, who is back on his feet. And a poor little knock on there from Ethan Dumortier. Has spilled it back into the hands of the Leinster players. Dumortier, 19-year-old, just his 2nd game in professional rugby for Lyon. A big prospect in the French under-20 teams of the last couple of years who've done so well. Just his 2nd game in senior rugby for Lyon. This afternoon was yellow carded in the first half as well. Gibson Park fishing around for the ball now, and out to Kieran Frawley, who was hit very hard there by Felix Lambe just as he passed the ball, and he's gone down injured. I think he got it right in the ribs there as they send possession out towards the left side of the far side of the pitch, inside into the 22, and it's spilled by Leinster. James Lowe got his hands on it, but it is going to be an advantage and a knock on against Leinster. Scrum in the way of Lyon, and Kieran Frawley back on his feet. A nice welcome to the game there.
I missed it, and I think he got winded.
Definitely got winded, yeah. We're just going to see it on the screen in front of us. Lambe just came in, and
that's absolutely legit.
Yeah. It was just as he was passing it. The arms were up, the ribs were exposed, wasn't it?
That's all. That's absolutely fine. I get criticised for that at some stage. When you're committed to it, which is when you're actually off the ground, strangely you can't change in mid-air, right? So, and you really, really want to dust up a young out half when he comes onto the field, and you take that opportunity. Well, big fan of Frawley, actually. I think he's a really good footballer.
Yeah, skill set.
Might be maybe a year away. He needs a bit of bulk. Needs to play a little bit more, but he's got something about him.
Yeah, certainly does. I think you've seen him. I suppose he's made his European debut this year, but he just has that extra little bit, like we're talking about taking to the line, this fella takes to the line, you know, and he just brings that little bit more. His kicking games come on a hell of a lot as well, but it's for him, it's matches, it's game time that he needs to propel himself forward. Normally when he gets a couple of games, he gets a little niggle, he gets a little knock, and it sets him back.
Scrum collapses and Ben Whitehouse has had enough, and it's a penalty for Leinster. 5-6 metres inside the Lyon 22, and Kieran Frawley shoves past all his forwards, takes the ball into the hands and decides, I'm putting this one into the corner, and gives Leinster a line out 5 metres from the Lyon line as they look to make try number 6 this afternoon.
What would you like to see here, James?
I think what we're going to see is a drive them all, and they expect them to go over if they get that momentum. But look, Leinster normally when they get into this position have been so ruthless all season in it, but they're just going to play it simple, do the basics, aren't they?
Simple up to Ross Maloney, and Sean Cronin tries to break from the back, but they go out towards the backs, and Robbie Henshaw now with a short carry, and Gibson Park gets over and plays it out to Peter Dooley. Peter Dooley bringing possession up towards the 5 metre line, and Devin Toner now, and that's a good hard tackle on Toner, stops him in his tracks. Another short carry from Quaylen Doris this time, who came on for Max Deegan a short time ago. And Gibson Park now goes towards the right to Frawley, and Frawley tries to go himself, but he's tackled by Josh Tuisova. Ringrose now to James Lowe. James Lowe brings it up to a metre from the line now. Leinster working their way back towards this near touchline. They're 5 metres in from the touchline, and that's try number 6 for Leinster. A short little burst from just a yard out, and they have their 6th try of the afternoon, and it's Quaylen Doris. We speak all afternoon about Max Deegan and what he's done.
Was it Doris or was it Andrew
Porter?
Porter?
It's Andrew Porter in the end who got it. There was a couple of players coming up in the end there.
Can I just say, in the midst of that, I think they've left Max Deegan on, so I don't know who Quaylen Doris has come on for. Deegan is back there in the halfway line.
Rhys Ruddock,
gone off. Just in the midst of that, Andrew Porter ran a line, and the ball went to Devin Toner. Now, if I was Andrew Porter, I'd have chewed up the 9, and I'd have chewed up Devin Toner, because he had run from 20 yards to get onto it. Without a shadow of a doubt, he'd have carried anybody over with him. It was a phenomenal line, and that's one of the things that Ireland are missing, is the ability to take a ball from at pace without having to slow down to go and catch it. So I loved seeing that, and actually I'm now delighted he managed to
get over and get the try
4
himself.
inches to get the try. So
yeah, and you look at the way the English teams play, and especially Saracens last year, like a bit of momentum, the players are running onto it rather than standing there with your hand up. It's so obvious that all you're going to do is get a small little tiny bit of momentum if you have a latch or a tip on, and even then it's that person, if you're going to tip it onto, they're not running onto it at pace. So I think Leinster, especially in this second half, have tried to hit the middle man, tried to go that one bit out. You could see from Max Deegan's try, just that bit wider.
42 points to 14 now. Kieran Frawley slotting the conversion. He scored 2 conversions on his European debut against Northampton before Christmas. He's up and running this afternoon for his opening points of the day. 42 points to 14, Leinster lead. 6 tries on the board with 9 minutes left to play. Dave Carney takes the kick-off just outside Leinster's 22 on this near side of the pitch. Tuisova gets in over the top and tries to slow it down, but in the end it's called up. Frawley calling for it in the centre of the pitch. Leinster just going through a couple of short phases just to work a better field position, and it looks like Gibson Park is going to box kick. Sends it high, not particularly deep, and Nakatasi comes up and spills the ball, and it's collected in the end by Rob Carney. And Gibson Park out to Peter Dooley. Leinster 5 metres in from this near touchline, just inside their own half. Ross Maloney now with a short carry. All the subs on the pitch. Frawley skips it out to Robbie Henshaw, who kicks left-footed, and it's one for the Leinster players to chase as Jean-Marcelin Boutin tries to clearance kick, and James Lowe and another Leinster player come up and block it down and send it into touch. It's a Lyon ball. They've taken it quickly, but we are going to go back a little bit too quickly for the match officials. It's going to be a Lyon line out 5-6 metres into their half. Nice little kick from Robbie Henshaw there, and a good chase from the supporting cast.
With a lovely pass to him, he ran onto a nice pass from Kieran Frawley, kind of pushed him wide. and there was space. And I don't want to labour the point. The reason that there was space was actually the defensive line, whether because they're fatigued or because Frawley took the ball 2 or 3 yards, had to hold. So there was no immediate rush all the way out. He pulled it out behind his backs, and the kind of strange kick, but it was effective nonetheless.
Unnatural.
Lambe takes and the line out, and Hidalgo Klein box kicks up, and James Lowe went for it, but he spilled it backwards, or has he? No, I think it was a Leinster player offside in the end, and it's going to be a Lyon penalty 10 metres inside their own half.
It's a wrong call because he knocked the ball backwards, and a guy from in front of him picked it up, but it's only a penalty if he knocked it forward to him. So
just so happened it was Barty's having the same argument over there that you did.
Just so happens it was right in our eye line. We could kind of see it, and it certainly looked from our vantage point that when Lowe went up and spilled the ball, it did go backwards.
So we could be a little bit critical of Leinster's performance earlier on. They didn't quite get to the pitch of the game. Of course, they've won very comfortably, which we thought they would. But we're going to be a little bit critical of the referee too, only because there's a bit of fun involved in that.
So Lyon kick the line out into touch and bring possession 15 metres inside the Leinster half of the pitch, over on the far touchline. And again, Lambie, who's been a target at almost every line out for Lyon so far, himself and Virgil Brunei. But slowed up very well actually here from Leinster. Devin Toner getting in around, and Peter Dooley also in there before it's eventually brought to ground. And it's brought in by Lyon, and it's not used, and Leinster swallowed that maul up brilliantly, and it's a turnover.
Max Teagan gets man of the match, which I think is about right and proper. He's had a pretty fine game. I just wanted to mention Lambie. Lambie came on after 2 minutes, and he has been the most important player for Lyon in the whole game. Surprised to see him sitting on the bench in the first place, because yes, he got a yellow card, but he has been the biggest nuisance.
So I was going to say, and Garachi was one of the players named in the French squad as well, and when they lost him, I was like, oh, this could have a massive impact. But as you say, Lambie's come on, and the energy he's brought, and he's disrupted an awful lot of Leinster's play.
It was big news at the time when he was left out of France's World Cup squad, Felix Lambie, but he's only making his first European appearance of the season as well. He's had a season disrupted a little bit, but he's been very impressive out there so far. And even at 24, he's one of Lyon's more experienced players. Leinster in possession here now, though, as we wind down the clock. Just over 3 minutes left to play. And the ball back to Kieran Frawley, who sends a high ball. Doesn't get much length on it, though. And in the end, it's taken by Lyon. 11 metres inside the Leinster half, bringing up into the centre of the pitch. And it's Tanganoa Halafanua, Tongan back rower, who's collected the ball. Oh, and that's a really good line from Noah Nakatasi. And can Lyon finish off with something here? They can't at the moment. Some slobby play, ball's gone to ground, and in the end Lyon do recover just outside the Leinster 22, 15 in from this near touchline. Raphael Chaume now with a short little burst. Hidalgo Klein out to Halafanua and finds Bhutan out to Xavier Mignot, who's back on the field after his yellow card a short while ago. And again they go right to Bhutan, and Bhutan with a short little handoff and gets the ball out. And Lyon just 5 metres out from the try line now, over on that far side of the pitch. Penalty advantage coming their way also. Second row, Martial Roland with the carry as they go towards the right. 5-6 metres out. Brunei again, their opening try score to Martial Roland. And a Leinster player goes flying over the top of that ruck. But we are going to come back. No advantage coming for Lyon. Penalty their way as we head into the final 90 seconds or so. And there is a bit of pushing and shoving. It's taken a while for the intensity to arrive, but with a minute to go, we have a bit of handbags.
Yeah, I mean, come on, lads. There's a minute and a half left, and you're getting excited at this stage.
Overall thoughts? I know in the first half we spoke about Leinster being very, very sloppy at times, but have you found the second half? Has it just been going through the gears, really?
A little bit of that. To be honest, I think it's almost an ideal situation for Leinster, because they recognised that they didn't have their attitude right or tempo right, attention to detail. They got bogged down a little bit by the referee, by the opposition, by the error count that was happening all over the field, and they've come away with a very, very serious win. But they won't be losing the run of themselves. It isn't as if they wiped the floor with them. They were off the mark, and they still win well. But I think they'll sharpen the pencil the next time.
5 metre line out up to Lambe's hands again, but Leinster slow down them all, and Hidalgo Klein breaks towards the left as Max Deegan makes a big stop. Lambe again with the carry, and Scott Fardy this time drives him back another yard or so. Roland with the take. Out to Raphael Charmet. And Lambe again as they drift back towards the centre of the pitch. Moving left each time. Jairus Mora. Out to Ethan Dumartier, and his pass is loose in the direction of Noah Nakatasi, and it goes straight out into touch.
And they've been pulled back now. I think there's a bit of off the ball with James Lowe, and the touch just on the far side is calling over Ben Whitehouse. But yeah, just on your point on that, Keith, I think it's not a bad way to be when you're, I wouldn't say criticising, but just if you're a bit below below your standards and you're still coming away with a 42 points tries on or 42 points up, you know, it's.
You want to learn the lessons. You never want to lose.
Yeah.
So they were never going to lose today. I think they have maybe learned that that even if they start with that right level of intent, with that attitude right, and it's often which comes first. Does the odd knock on, the forward pass, the bad pass, the drop ball, does that come first and ruin the attitude, or is the attitude off 5 or 10%, which leads to the fact that people aren't running the right place, their hands aren't in the right place, they don't have the discipline. I mean, they're the ones that they can have this discussion about afterwards and say, well, look, we're having a bit of trouble with it because we were just off the mark. So irrespective, if they kept their attention to detail, they could have had 3 tries that they scored that were disallowed, you know, so that makes a difference. But now we have
still time for one more TMO check, guys.
This may well be the longest game in the history of long games, you know, so Ben Whitehouse has gone back upstairs again.
Well, we're 9 minutes short of the 2-hour mark from kick-off. I know yesterday at the sports ground we just about hit 2 hours from start to finish, and we're trying to see what sort of foul play was going on here. There was a bit of off the ball.
There's a little bit of messing from
a bit of pushing and shoving really between James Lowe and
James Lowe. Just look, you don't want to temper that level of aggression and annoyance, because he's an annoying player for the opposition. He's in the midst of everything, so there's nothing wrong with that. We're just watching a bit here. He goes in over off his feet. There's nothing wrong with that.
And we're coming all the way over.
Yeah.
It looks like Ben Whitehouse hasn't seen anything.
I mean, but this is like, I have to say, we go back, there's a bit of old fogey in this. Trust the referee. He makes the decision. The players will follow what the referee says. They really, really will. If you're trying to say, I want somebody in a cold box to make a decision, the gut instinct of the referee tends to be the right one, and I feel that we depower them somewhat by referring everything back. So I don't think he's having a particularly good game, but I also don't think the group of them, of the referees and the guys, are having a good game too.
No, and especially the touches there. He can see everything that's going on there. And credit to Ben Whitehouse. He's following the play over towards our side of the field, and he's just got to say it's a little bit of handbags. As you say, 30 seconds left. Let's just move it on, you know. And there's no need. There's nothing major there. No one's knocked out or cold or anything. There's just handbags.
We're cold. Not knocked out.
So time for one final play with 30 seconds left here at the RDS, and it was a scrum to Lyon in the end, 7-8 metres out, and they've made a bit of a mess of it, but they've had to go all the way back towards the 22 to retain possession with Etienne Vesthuizen. Jeremy Mourard now, their substitute hooker, out to Lambe again, who has been all over the ball, as we see the full-time whistle approaching at Franklin's Gardens as well, and Northampton have recovered. Bonus point victory inside for them now. They lead Benetton Treviso by 33 points to 20. But into the final few seconds here, and Josh Tuisova carries Lyon up towards 6-7 metres out, and they go out towards the right again, and James Lowe is in over the top of that and tries to hold it up, but doesn't keep keep them up for long enough. Halafanua now. A little chip through, and Leinster dive in on top of it. Dave Carney recovers safely for Leinster as the clock hits 80, and that is surely going to be it for us here at the RDS. Gibson Park just watching things over. Kieran Frawley drops back, or Gary Ringrose, and just dots it out over the in-goal area. And that is the full-time whistle here at the RDS. 6 tries for Leinster, 5 wins out of 5 in the competition, 15 out of 15 so far this season in all competitions, and they move another step closer towards a top seed, potential home quarter-final, potential home semi-final if they get there. 6 tries they've scored, 2 for Dave Carney, 1 each for Josh van der Fleer, Max Deegan, Sean Cronin and Andrew Porter, all converted, and they beat Lyon by 42 points to 14. Keith Wood and James Downey, overall thoughts?
I think Leinster will be very, very happy with the results. They can't do any more than have 5 points and have an extra bit. They've moved on towards the first seed. I think they'll be a little bit annoyed with some of their inaccuracy. I think they'll have a lot to work on. It's a great opportunity for a coach to be able to sharpen up his players on the back of that. But we are comparing Leinster to the performance and the standard that they've shown all year, which most definitely is the top seed in the
Yeah, completely agree with that. I think, you know, it's a best case scenario. You've gotten the win and you still have a little bit to work on. Just a little bit of minor details, kind of your attitude, that extra little percent, what's missing, and that can easily be worked on, you know. And I think if they perform like that against, we're a little bit short against a better opposition, they mightn't be so lucky. So it's a perfect scenario, getting the 5 points, and look, we can rectify it again before getting into the knockout stages.
More from Keith and James to come with Joe in the next little while, but for now, back to the studio.
Thanks, Neil. Neil Treacy there alongside James Downey and Keith Wood. So Leinster 42 points to 14 winners against Lyon, making things look very, very routine indeed at the RDS. We'll chat with Keith and James in a couple of moments' time about that game, and Munster are getting underway in Paris in about 20 minutes' time as well, so we'll get the lads' thoughts ahead of kick-off there in what is really a must-win game for Munster. Premier League though, Bournemouth against Watford has just gone half-time. We'll check in on the first 45 there with Ian Wilding.
Half-time, it's Bournemouth 0, Watford 1. A goal just before half-time from Doucouré, who tapped in after a mistake at the back from Travers, played it straight to a Watford shirt. Sarr crossed it in from the right, and Doucouré did the rest. Up to that point, it was pretty 50-50. Both sides having about 3 opportunities on goal, but it's a mistake that's cost Watford in this massive match. As things stay as they are, it will be Watford going above Bournemouth into third from bottom in the table. Half-time, AFC Bournemouth 0, Watford 1.
Yeah, that will be a huge result for Watford. That will move them outside of the relegation zone. They will be in 17th place on 22 points. Aston Villa 21 and 18th. Bournemouth will remain where they are, second from bottom on 20 points. And then Norwich could adrift really 6 points away from Bournemouth. I mentioned Aston Villa. They will host Man City in our second live game of the afternoon. We have Aston Villa against Man City. 4:30 kickoff. Stephen Doyle alongside Stephen Hunt, so we'll build up to that game and bring that to you from 4:30. But in the meantime, short break, and we're back at the RDS to recap on the weekend's rugby with James Downey and Keith Wood in just 1 second.
Leinster versus Lyon, live from the RDS.
On Off the Ball.
With Vodafone, official sponsors of the Irish rugby team. Team of us, everyone in.
Exciting afternoons with Harvey Norman. Bring the cinema home with an ultra-high-definition smart TV and surround sound from Harvey Norman. The cinema experience with no queues and no trailers.
Go, Harvey, go!
Quality, performance and reliability. Volkswagen commercial vehicles are vans that deliver. And until January 31st, they have offers to match. Upgrade bonuses of up to €4,000 across the range. Low-cost HP finance. Leasing options from €60 per week with no deposit and maintenance included. Test drive a new Volkswagen van at your local Volkswagen commercial vehicles dealer or visit volkswagenvans.ie and we'll come to you. Lending criteria and terms and conditions apply. Offer for business customers only. Finance where provided by way of hire purchases offered by Volkswagen Bank GmbH Branch Ireland. Authorised by the Federal Financial Supervisory Authority in Germany and regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland for conduct of business rules.
The Ryanair seat sale is here with up to €30 off return flights on over 1 million seats to Europe's best sun, beach and city destinations. So shake off those January blues and book your next summer holiday on Ryanair.com today and fly with Europe's lowest emissions, lowest fares airline. Limited availability. See Ryanair.com.
When it comes to truly awesome entertainment,
We're not playing around. Now, when you switch to Virgin Media, you can pick up superfast broadband and TV with Virgin Media Sport. All for just €55 a month for an incredible 12 months and €89 a month after that. A sale that leaves nothing behind now on. See virginmedia.ie.
T's and C's apply. See virginmedia.ie. New customers only. 12-month contract. Offer ends February 28th, 2020.
Mattresses-delivered.ie. Nationwide delivery within 48 hours for free. That's mattresses-delivered.ie. Lowest prices guaranteed. Don't forget the hyphen. T's and C's apply.
VHI Healthcare have gone beyond insurance with specialist clinics and care just for our members. Join now for access to our Swift Care clinics, dedicated screening centres, the convenience of hospital at home, our paediatric clinic, and a very handy health assistant app. To join, call today on 1890 444444 or search VHI. Terms and conditions apply. VHI Healthcare DAC trading as VHI Healthcare is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland and is tied to VHI Insurance DAC for health insurance in Ireland.
Switch to SSE Treacy and get an incredible 26% off your home electricity. Switch today and join the thousands of Irish homes and businesses sourcing their power from 100% green energy. Get your 26% discount today. Free phone 1800 818 466. This is a great deal. This is Generation Green. EAB €879.22. Offer from 20th November 2019. Rates valid from 3rd of December 2018, subject to change. 1 year standard unit rate discount for new home electricity customers on direct debit and e-bill. For details of T's and C's, EAB, exit fees, standing charges, see sscertricity.com.
When people want to talk, they talk to the Sunday Independent. This weekend, as Blonde Nick Cuffig joins Nationwide, she talks about her dark nights of the soul. In Living, Mary Kennedy talks about age, new challenges, and the new man in her life. Owen Harris and Miriam O'Callaghan explore what the RIC controversy says about us, and the true story of Lugalaw, alcohol, bitterness, loneliness, and Garach de Brún. Plus Rachel Allen's comfort food, The Sunday Independent, the complete read.
This week at Power City, check out our mega deals on Bosch and Neff home appliances. For more information, go online to powercity.ie or call in store today.
The Sport Ireland campus Blanchardstown is the home of Irish sport, not just for our athletes, but for you and the community. For families, check out our kids camps, sport academies and birthday parties. For adults, why not join our newly refurbished gym with a 50-metre swimming pool, or book one of our world-class indoor or outdoor facilities, including our athletics track, sports pitches and courts. And for companies, check out our team building days, conference facilities and events. All this and more at sportirelandcampus.ie.
At Ford, our commercial vehicles are as hardworking as you are, the backbone of business across the country. With the new Ford Transit range, you get more power, more efficiency, and more comfort. With advanced connected technology that helps you work safer and smarter. And you can get 3.9% low APR, a 5-year warranty, and up to €5,500 bonus in our 201 sales event. Ford 2020. Move your business forward. Order now at your local participating Ford dealer. Terms and conditions apply. See Ford.ie. Applicable to registrations between January 1st and January 31st.
Across Ireland. This is the IMRO Radio Awards Station of the Year. This is News Talk.
Good afternoon, I'm Adrian Harmon. The Taoiseach says he's picked the date of the next general election. It follows reports that a snap election could be called as early as February 7th. Speaking on RTE, Leo Varadkar says the Dáil will sit next week, but admits an election is coming sooner than he wants.
I have made a decision, but there is some unfinished business to do, which I want to get done. And also there is some respect and protocol around this, and I would like to speak to the Cabinet, to leaders of the opposition. So as things stand, the Cabinet will meet on Tuesday and the Dáil will reconvene on Wednesday.
A 21-year-old man's been charged following the death of his father in Portlaw in County Waterford. 48-year-old John Butler was found with serious injuries at a house on Brown Street in the town, but later passed away in hospital. Stephen Butler, with an address at Shielbagan, Ramsgrange, New Ross in County Wexford, was arrested at the scene in the early hours of Saturday and was charged this morning with assault causing harm. He appeared at Carney District Court this afternoon, where he was remanded in custody to appear again on Thursday. There's a warning Storm Brendan will lead to some coastal flooding in parts of the country tomorrow. Status orange warnings come into effect for counties along the west and south coast from 7 a.m. Alan O'Reilly from Carlow Weather says people living near the coast will need to take extra care.
Unfortunately, Storm Brendan is bringing a bit of a perfect storm in that we're likely to see seas in excess of 13-metre significant waves off the northwest coast. And then you have high spring tides. So coastal flooding could potentially be the biggest impact from Storm Brendan.
And a swimmer has been rescued after getting into difficulty off the coast of County Clare. The alarm was raised by a surfer near Lahinch at around 10:40 this morning. The Irish Coast Guard says the man was airlifted from the sea by the Rescue 115 helicopter. He's being treated at University Hospital Limerick. That's it for now. More in an hour.
News Talk Weather.
Thanks to the AA, you can find our lowest car insurance price online, guaranteed.
Some scattered showers, mainly in the western half of the country. Dry then tonight, but strong winds and showers will move in from the west towards morning. Lowest temperatures of 1 to 4 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
And now then, you're very welcome back. So we are building up in the next couple of moments to Racing against Munster in La Défense. Kicks off at 3:15. It is effectively must-win for Munster. The second half is underway between Bournemouth and Watford. It is 1-0 to Watford, 47 minutes on the clock there. There is GAA action on around the country, very much warm-up season, but Galway trail Mayo 9 points to 8 at half-time in Castlebar. That is in the Connacht FBD League semi-final. Today being Porg Joyce's first game in charge of the Tribesmen. Tom Parsons back from Mayo as well, which is good news after his horror injury. Roscommon, meanwhile, against Leitrim are storming it. 4-7 to a point. 4-7 to a point. Roscommon lead Leitrim. Elsewhere, Tyrone against Down, 112 to 4 points in favour of Tyrone at half-time in the Dr. McKenna Cup semi-final in Ulster. Monaghan await the winner in the final. And then in hurling, Walsh Cup semi-finals, Galway lead Dublin 12 points to 11 at half-time. That's at Parnell Park, while Wexford lead Kilkenny 1-9 to 5 points. Let's go back to the RDS. Leinster 42 points to 14 winners against Lyon. We had James Treacy alongside Keith Wood. I was just watching Brian O'Driscoll there during the news headlines here. Keith, he was on BT Sport. A slightly stuttering performance was how he described certainly the first half, and then he almost had to check himself and when he realised, well, actually they scored 42 points. Keith, and you almost realise these are high-class problems that Leinster have.
They are high-class problems. Brian's also a Leinsterman, so I'd say he'd want to backtrack a little. No, I'm only joking. I thought it was poor in the first half. I thought the attention to detail and discipline of the play was poor. But if I'm standing up here, like whatever it is, 50 yards from the pitch, saying, yeah, they're playing really poor and they're still going to win the game comfortably, and we kind of knew that all the way through. It looked like they had the exact same viewpoint and that their attitude was a little bit off, and ultimately they went and did exactly what they were supposed to do. But I think they'll be frustrated with some of the play that they had. I think they'll be frustrated. I think they'll be a little bit frustrated with the referee, who was pedantic. The refereeing was pedantic today. Anytime there was a change in tempo, suddenly you had 3 minutes where you were watching to see something that James Downey and you called him James Treacy.
I know, I anointed him there. I upgraded you massively there, James.
You upgrade.
Well, still playing, playing.
Well, if you're obviously an upgrade if it's to a hooker. So, but we were getting frustrated watching it for the very simple reason that every time there was a decision called, we'd look at it and say, yeah, well, that's obviously forward, or yeah, obviously he's 1.5 meters. But they showed it, no, let's look at it from another 15 angles before we make the decision. So I don't know who's in the TMO box, but they need to be able to get either ex-players or ex-referees who are able to make decisions quickly, because this is an entertainment and spectator sport. It is not fun to watch a guy having a conversation with someone where none of the fans can actually hear it in the ground, and they're just waffling on about what's actually going on when it's very evident what's going on.
Yeah, you don't want to go down that football route of, you know, stopping the whole thing and you see someone scoring a goal and the celebrations don't happen. It's got to be a swift decision made, and as Keith said there, it's we can see it, make the call, get on with it, and if they do make 1 or 2 errors, so be it, you know. But like we talked about it, that players, if the referee makes a call, players not going to argue or disagree or whatever. You might have a couple of words, that's it, but go back and you accept it and you play on. And it's just a momentum killer. Any time there was any urgency in Leinster play, any tempo, it was slowed down by that, and it's quite frustrating. But again, not a bad problem to have, having gotten 5 points and job done, and they can pick it up again, and that's going to be the motivation for next week.
There's a few other points in that game I want to come back to in a moment, fellas, but we might just turn to events in Paris, which kick off in about 5-6 minutes time. So I want to get your pre-match thoughts on Racing against Munster. The early news, James, by the way, is Donegal Ryan is out sick, so Munster will take every little break they can get. And JJ Hanrahan's hamstrings, for a start, a lot of attention going to be on them on that artificial pitch. This is an unbelievably tall order for Munster to go up against Racing and to pull this one out of the fire. What we've seen over the last couple of weeks, certainly around Christmas, is that Munster's squad depth is an issue. When you look at the starting 15 today, I mean, when they pull in their big names, it's they have a chance, to say the least. But how do you go about making life difficult for Racing on that artificial pitch?
Well, it's Munster and it's Europe, and they're always going to have a chance, aren't they? And it's one of these kind of performances that people talk about. I think been on the 4G, it's a big call now, Donegal Ryan being out. I think that Donegal is crucial to what Racing do. Everything, especially the line-outs, the confidence it gives, even Samuel Chat, and he's just one of these people who understand Munster, knows the ins and outs, and has the DNA there, and can actually get into them and really disrupt what Munster do. I think that they just need to frustrate Racing as much as they can. I haven't seen Racing play against Clermont last week. I thought they were exceptional, but they've changed one or two. Obviously Donegal's out and Simon's been injured, so it's a European night. Hopefully JJ's hamstring can hold up, because it's a huge call, as you say, especially on a 4G pitch. But I don't know on this one. I just don't think that they have that strength and depth that you've mentioned, and to go to Paris to do that is a tall order, but I just don't think they have enough.
Mike Cayley starts. Andrew Conway's been past fit as well, Keith. The heft of Chris Farrell, probably that kind of heft missing up in Belfast recently. Farrell starts, Rory Scannell, Keith Earls, and then they've JJ Hanrahan and Conor Murray. For a start, that's a better looking backline, and then a few big names back as well in the pack, but it's just really hard to see it right now. Well,
when I look at it with a bleak eye, I think Racing are one of the best teams in the competition. I know Munster have been at the last two semi-finals, and that marks them as being one of the better teams in the competition, but I think there are tiered levels of better teams. I think Racing are up on that level, definitely. So I would look at over the last few weeks and say that the strength and depth has been exposed. We all knew it was there, but it's actually when you see it in real time, it's exposed. I also believe the IRFU's diktat of the 2 weeks off was very detrimental to Munster, because Munster had 12 players that were doing it, and they don't have the strength and depth. When you have the strength and depth of Leinster, you're able to do it and deal with it very well, especially when confidence is high. With Munster, confidence was a bit lower, and they don't have that strength and depth. So I don't know, it's comparing like with like, so if you're not, then I think that's particularly unfair. So I think the picture that's been painted for the last few weeks hasn't been perfect. So in some of the losses that have happened and some of the draws, one of the wins has been over Saracens, which was impressive, and yes, it should have had an extra score that would have taken a point away from Saracens, but that didn't happen. There was a draw against Racing. I was at that game. I thought Racing were extraordinary on that day, and I thought it was a really good performance. But what I'd like to talk on just for a second is the loss that Munster had in Saracens. For 65 minutes of that game, that is the best I've seen Munster play for 2 or 3 years. I thought they were phenomenal. So when you ask what do Munster have to go and do, that's what they have to do. They have to do that. They have to keep the clarity at the end. They had no clarity at the end. They didn't have a kick for post, which should have happened. And that's fatigue. It's not stupidity or anything else that you hear some people say. It was the effort of 65 minutes and how it enacted on the rest of the team.
But sorry to interrupt on that point. That's fatigue. Like for that, if we want to dig into that decision for a second, that's not good enough.
No, it isn't good enough. But it's what I'm trying to say is when you're looking at a team that has all its players, it's got maybe 5 or 6 really key players that they have to play at the absolute top of their game all the time. I mean, I thought it was a dreadful decision. I'm trying to see what is the rationale.
No,
behind
I understand.
it. So I'm looking at it and I'm saying at that stage clarity had gone because they had put in an effort for 65 minutes without enough of support off the bench or the depth, or maybe too much of that pressure is on too few players to have it. I just felt that they were almost out on their feet and had stopped thinking clearly. So, but for the first 65 minutes of that game, that is good enough for nearly any team in Europe. I would say maybe with the exception of Leinster.
Right. And what did they do? How would you surmise it?
They shut down everything. They played a game of intent, of attitude, of pace, of passion, of aggression, of control, and of pure dog-headedness and frustration. And Saracens had they didn't have every one of their first choice players playing, but they had a really, really good team out, and they couldn't do anything. They weren't given space and time to do anything. So that's what Munster have to try and do today. So I'm looking at this, I'm afraid of my life of this game. I really am when I'm looking at it, because I feel, I don't know a lot of the players, but I know some of them, but I know all the fans nearly, and I feel this very keenly. Munster, there's a chance of Munster getting badly beaten today. There's also a chance of Munster somehow managing to eke out another historic day. So when I say that they're going in more in hope than an expectation, it's because that has stood them in good stead in the past, and they are believers. So you just want to see that hopefully everything goes right for them, and a few things go wrong for Racing, because that's what's required. If Racing play at their absolute best, Racing win this game. But can Munster knock them off kilter? Can they do a job on a team in a place that's kind of wrong? It's wrong in many ways, and the traditionalists criticise the Racing Stadium. Look, I don't even know whether I'd like to play on a synthetic surface or not, but I'd love to play in that stadium.
Yeah,
that's the sort of thing that would just excite the hell out of me, the chance and opportunity to have people baying for your blood. That's awesome. I don't care if they're shouting for you or against you. That's an occasion, and actually as you get older, what you're looking for are those occasions, and you want to win those occasions if possible.
They're just getting underway. James, we often hear that Irish provinces, certainly, whatever about the international side, but Irish players are fitter, they're more rested than their French counterparts. So this obviously has the potential, this game, to be lightning quick. And you think of Teddy Thomas and Vakatawa, and even Finn Russell is in great form now. Do Munster want this to be wild and frenetic, and maybe fitness counts toward the end, or will they try and slow this thing down as much as possible?
I think they're going to have to try and slow it down, to be honest. You've mentioned some of the names there that if they get on the front foot and they get early and the crowd gets behind it in that cauldron over in La Défense, it's going to be a tough ask. If they can frustrate, stay within touching distance at half time, and then it's one of these 40 minutes, then you can come out and go, right, this is you have the feeling of a big European night. And they just, for me, that's where they have to see it. They have to shut them down, frustrate them. Like Finn Russell, you can get into Finn Russell. I'm sure they'll have targets for him, but off the ball, well, maybe not off the ball, but like one or two kind of digs with him and just frustrate him, put him off his game a little bit. And if you can do that and frustrate him and frustrate the ball going out to the backs, then it's certainly a chance.
It's perfect timing. It's not off the ball.
Yeah, well, exactly.
No, it is off the ball. He let the truth slip out there. That's what actually happened. We got a glimpse into the realities there. That's all that happened there.
Yeah. Well, we saw a little bit of it today when Kieran Frawley came on, and he's a guy I'd be pretty excited by. I think he's got a lovely footballing capability, but Lambe absolutely dusted him up, and it was late because he passed the ball, but he was fully committed to the tackle. Welcome to Heineken Cup rugby. That's where you're supposed to soften their cough a little.
But that also that galvanises everyone around you, and you see a moment like that and they say, right, this is it. You can get that feeling of someone makes a hit and all of a sudden we're right back in it, or the momentum can change, and you know the French guys might look at it and go, oh, he's gone down again, and where's his head going to be, and then their mind's off the ball. And these small percentages, I think, that can work in Munster's favour, but I still think it's an awful lot of things that need to fall into place.
Yeah, it sure is. Well, they've started well. They're 2 minutes in. They've kept the ball really, and they've had all the territory. And JJ Hanrahan has just kicked an early penalty, so 3-0 up after 2-3 minutes in Paris. We're talking here with James Downey and Keith Wood. They've watched Leinster, well, ultimately emerge as comprehensive winners against Lyon, 42 points to 14. Max Deegan got man of the match, Keith. It was interesting listening to Brian O'Driscoll on the show on Friday, and he was saying he wonders if Deegan as a test match number 8 is actually heavy enough.
Yeah, I disagree with him. The big thing for me today was coming to see Max Deegan. Actually, I wanted to see him in the flesh. I wanted to see how he was able, and we did mention at the start whether Caelan Doris is actually more robust. He most definitely is. But if you only want to have people that are of exactly the same identical size, and then you're moving away from the game that we love. What Max Deegan did today was get over the gain line. He got hit and smashed a load of times, absolutely, of course he did. But he never stopped, and which was nice to see. Was he played the 80 minutes. Didn't quite know what the composition of the back row was at the end of that, but Doris was on as well. I think he offers something different. And I think we need something different. So as I've looked at international rugby over the last few years, and if you take South Africa out of the equation because they're just huge, and you look at New Zealand, which is New Zealand and Australia are pretty much the ones that we need to be kind of looking for. Their back row forwards seem to have lost weight and have become more agile, more ball players, more attacking runners, not just heavy carriers into contact. And I thought time after time today, Deegan had, I kind of called it a sleight of foot in commentary, which I know is wrong, but
even for his try,
yeah, he was running good lines, but he was moving off centre a little bit. So there was people, he got a few clean hits on him, but a lot of them weren't, and they were putting him past. Where he could be incredible in international rugby is if he's given the remit to go and break the first line, get your hands around, and have wingers or blindside wingers or number 7 coming onto his shoulder, so that once the break has happened, there's someone running onto the ball. I think he offers something different, so that's why I'm excited by him.
What about that, James? Or do you want a test level, a number 8 who can bish and bosh his way over the gain line?
I like both, to be honest. I like the kind of old school method of everyone's a kind of big number 8. You're going to be guaranteed some gain line, that sort of player. But I do like Max, and I do like his ability to be able to. You can move him. You don't just have to look at him as an 8. He can still cover. He ended up in 6 there, I think, with Scott Farley moved to the back row and they took off the other guys. So it's a case of slotting him in and where he can slot in. His problem at the moment is going to be how much game time he can get with all that back row, because that's kind of his second start now in the last two games. But before that, Doris seems to have been carrying the torch, and especially in the European games, and Max has been on the bench, and you'd want to see more from him. I think, like as I say, for me, I like an 8. I think CJ at the moment and how he's playing, I'd like to change it up that way. I think we need someone else in there at the moment. I just don't think what he does, what he brings, he needs a little bit more element to his game, be that passing, be that just a little bit more, because anytime CJ gets it, yeah, he probably will make game line, but exactly, he's gone straight to contact. It can be a 4-on-1 and he'll go to contact.
Yeah, this is one of the arguments I think you and I have had, Joe, over the
I would never argue with you.
You do actually argue. You just don't say that you do, but you do actually. But the which is, what does Andy Farrell want?
Yeah.
Does he want it to be the same as Joe? Does he want to have it at a point where it's prescribed that on the X number of phases that you're going to do something else and you have to go through those phases? Or do you want to have it that's done differently? So we don't know yet. So if he wants heavy carrying, then Max Deegan doesn't get picked at number 8. If he wants additional subtlety, there's a chance of putting Deegan at 6, 8, 7 even sometimes. So like, I was interested, I asked in the middle of commentary, how tall is he? Because he was being thrown up on opposition lineouts pretty much the way Peter O'Mahony is. But actually he was used as guaranteed ball for an awful lot of Leinster's own lineouts. And bearing in mind, Devon Toner was playing today. And you would say that, well, obviously let's throw it to Dev and off we go from there, but actually Deegan was used a lot. So look, I like Doris. I think he's a really good player. So, and I've said this again, we are in a particular period of time of where there are huge riches in the back row in particular, and it's how do we maximise it. So we have to maybe move our thinking a little bit away from, he's definitely our number 8 and that's the end of it. We have options to play different styles if we pick different players. We've never really had that before. Can we use that and still keep a sense of team? That's an interesting and a very rare kind of situation that we find ourselves in.
Just a last quick one. James Downey alongside Keith Wood here at the RDS. It's still Munster 3-0 up against Racing. Just on Ross Byrne, James, in the midst of the game you got into a small conversation about Ross. I think at one point he'd taken a ball standing and passed it on standing, and you were assessing his game. It looks like Johnny Sexton is going to be back and will play in a green jersey, and once again we're in that pattern of Johnny having to come back from a long break and hit the ground running. But if for whatever reason he doesn't, Byrne seems like the most likely man in. Where is his game now? I mean, we've been talking about Ross Byrne for a long time. It's not like he's a new player on the scene. What does he need to develop? How close is he to being a number 10 Test international that we could feel very confident in?
Well, I think firstly, when you look at Ross, I think the main thing of your Test 10 is your game management, and I think that Ross's game management is pretty second to none. I think that the areas he needs to develop it goes back to our conversation during the game, that it was just that attacking mindset of he's got these players around him, but he needs to do more to bring them into the game as well. But be that carrying the ball a bit more, taking it to the line, which we discussed, I think it's a massive thing that he needs to do. Otherwise he's just a bit more of a passenger in attack, and he's a player who likes to play prescribed a certain way all the time, and I think that if he can play a bit more off the cuff, see some opportunities himself, he can bring a lot more to it. Like you see Johnny has a go himself. When he takes it to the line, he'll sit down defenders, he'll put pressure on that back row, put pressure on the midfielder, but also that takes the pressure off his midfielders. He's got his two, like today you had Robbie Henshaw and Guy Ringrose, potential Irish centre partnership there, that if he's shoveling the ball on at international rugby, that's too easy, you know. It's going to be a field day, and we'll have no penetration from midfield, and it'll fall back to, where are we going wrong, what's happening, and the analysis will fall back at the 10 of, you've got to take it to the line, you've got to interest the defence to sit them down, to create space outside and create opportunities on the back of that. I do think Ross, as I say, is a safe player. He's that game management, but if he can just bring that little bit more, it can open up a whole lot of attacking opportunities both for Leinster and Ireland.
Okay, that's all very fair. We're pretty much out of time, and I'd say you two are cold at this stage after what was like a 2.5 hour game.
Yeah, do you know what? We're not too
right.
bad. I said it at the start of commentary. I'm wearing the brightest red jacket known to man, which I got a bit of abuse for walking up the steps, but that's a kind of okay. But it did its job today. So it's there's nobody else here, mind you, apart from a very large flock of seagulls, and so I'm looking forward to rushing inside to have a look at this Munster game.
Well, JJ Hanrahan's got a very kickable penalty to make it 6-0 after 11 minutes, so that's about as positive a start as Munster could have hoped for. Fellas, we'll leave it there. Keith Wood and James Downey, my apologies, I'm getting old and forgetful in my old age. James Downey, thanks very much, fellas, appreciate it.
Cheers Joe.
So Leinster 42 points to 14 winners against Lyon. Neil Treacy on commentary duty alongside Keith Wood and James Downey. I'm watching JJ Hanrahan kick this penalty, and he has split the posts. So that is a very good start for Munster. They lead by 6 points to no score. That's after about 11 minutes in La Défense in Paris. They would most certainly have taken that start if you'd offered it to them before kick-off. We'll take a short break. Back in 1 sec.
Off the ball on News Talk. Lunchtime Live.
Noel, you called in about bullying. Your daughter Lara was bullied, is that right?
Well, yeah, unfortunately, I thought it'd be easier. We lost Lara 8 years ago to bullying in the school at the age of 12. So instead of asking your child, are you being bullied, most kids won't tell you. Lara never told us. Can every parent that's listening to be there ask their child, is there anybody else being bullied in the class? And they might tell you that.
Lunchtime Live with Ciara Kelly.
With the matter private.
Weekdays from midday on News Talk.
Productive afternoons with Harvey Norman. Computer crashed? Don't worry. We have a wide range of laptops that work as hard as you do. Talk to a Harvey Norman technology specialist today.
Go, Harvey, go!
Every bumpy road, every bit of weather, every school run, every moment of reflection, every...
It's rush hour on a Friday. What did you expect?
Little disagreement, every tight squeeze, everything about a Skoda is made for Ireland.
Play it, wear it, live it. Whatever you're looking to buy, why not Flexify it? Choose a payment plan that suits you from a wide range of retailers across Ireland. Buy now and pay later with Flexify.com. Terms and conditions apply. See Flexify.com.
The old dog food isn't all it's cracked up to be, let me tell you. I wouldn't mind, but this lot have saved themselves a right few quid by going online and getting the best possible price on AA car insurance. Surely they can afford a couple of goojals for yours truly. I don't have to have steak every day. Tuesdays and Thursdays is fine.
If you want the lowest AA car insurance price available, you'll find it online. Go to the AA.ie. Who's got clever car insurance? Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. AA Ireland Limited trading as AA Insurance is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
At McDonald's, we're always working to give you choice in your Happy Meal. Like when we made it possible to swap out fries for a veg or fruit bag. Or when we introduced grilled chicken as another wrap option. And now we're launching the new Veggie Dippers, perfect for dipping in our tomato ketchup. These are just a few of the ways we're always working on our Happy Meal. Served after 11 a.m.
Maybe you're thinking about a career change or maybe a career promotion. Whatever stage you're at, a diploma from UCD's newly launched Professional Academy will help to give you a professional advantage. Learn from world-class lecturers, enjoy evening courses and easy access to our state-of-the-art campus. You will enhance your skills and knowledge, helping to unlock your professional potential in 2020. Give your career an advantage at UCD Professional Academy. Find out more at ucdadvantage.com.
Look forward to sailing to France this summer with Stena Line. The sun, the fun, the wine. Sublime. Sail from Roeselare to Cherbourg with super friendly staff dedicated to making you smile. Plus book your French summer now and get 10% off and a free trip to Britain. Look forward, book forward at stenaline.ie.
What could be more magical than a relaxing winter break with your loved ones in the 5-star luxury surroundings of Dromoland Castle, County Clare. Voted one of the top 10 resorts in the world by Condé Nast readers, our Castle Awaits package includes bed and breakfast plus one dinner for 2 nights in a Queen Anne classic room from just €295 per person sharing. Your Castle Awaits. Book your winter break now at dromoland.ie.
Switch to SSE Electricity and get an incredible 26% off your home electricity. Switch today and join the thousands of Irish homes and businesses sourcing their power from 100% green energy. Get your 26% discount today. Free phone 1800 818 466. This is a great deal. This is Generation Green. EAB €879.22. Offer from 20th November 2019. Rates valid from 3rd of December 2018, subject to change. 1-year standard unit rate discount for new home electricity customers on direct debit and e-bill. For details of T's and C's, EAB, exit fees, standing charges, see sscelectricity.com.
When it comes to truly awesome entertainment, we're not playing around. Now, when you switch to Virgin Media, you can pick up superfast broadband and TV with Virgin Media Sport. All for just €55 a month for an incredible 12 months and €89 a month after that. The sale that leaves nothing behind, now on. See virginmedia.ie.
T's and C's apply. See virginmedia.ie. New customers only. 12-month contract. Offer ends February 28, 2020.
There is a new place to buy Peugeot in Dublin. Sandyford Motor Centre. Test drive the all-new Peugeot 208 in petrol, diesel or electric. Buy your new Peugeot 208 today. Visit sandyfordmotorcentre.com. Sandyford Motor Centre, the home for Peugeot in South Dublin.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
Now then, welcome back. So Munster are doing exactly what they need to do in Paris. They are building scoreboard pressure. When we left you before the ad break, they were 6 points to 0 up. They now have another very kickable penalty in front of the post to go 9-0 up after 15 minutes. This will not be missed. This is 10 metres out, if even. So JJ Hanrahan's going to stick this over. So Munster will lead 9 points to 0 after 18 minutes. A perfect start. Racing's discipline's been poor right across the pitch. Even in Munster's half, they've been giving them easy exits, getting on the wrong side of Wayne Barnes. Wayne Barnes is never afraid to go against the home side in a rugby match, and he's doing that this afternoon thus far. So 18 minutes in, Hanrahan has kicked that. It is 9-0 Munster. A try, if they could get it next score, would really put them in a brilliant position. But Munster lead by 9 points to 0 after 17 minutes. Now, we are building up as well after 4 o'clock to Aston Villa hosting Manchester City. Stephen Hunt alongside Stephen Doyle. In the meantime, before we came on air this morning, we recorded our Sunday paper review. We had Hugh Frawley with us and David Sneyd. We're going to play you a segment of that now. You can download the full chat as ever in the usual places, or watch the video on YouTube or offtheball.com. But we'll play you a segment now right off the top of the headlines where some rugby stories caught the eye. Now then, you're very welcome along to the Sunday paper review. We are joined in studio by David Sneyd, football journalist. We also have Hugh Frawley with us, Deputy Head of Sport at the Mail on Sunday and the Irish Daily Mail, and obviously a man you'll know for his rugby coverage as well. I'll go through the back pages to kick things off. Liverpool, as you might imagine, are on lots of the back pages. Firm grip on the title, as has been the case for some time now. Best start ever to Premier League has Liverpool 16 points clear at top. The picture is of Robert Firmino after his goal against Spurs yesterday evening, a 1-0 win for Liverpool. The Star go with the same story, specialist in winning, but record-breaking Klopp not interested. This is Jurgen Klopp, who's not overly bothered by the record that they've set. And fill your boots, Guardiola, Foden our next Silva. David Silva set to leave Man City at the end of the season. Guardiola saying he's not going to go into the market for a replacement because he has Phil Foden. Back page of the Sun, top left corner, we have a picture of Harry Kane on his hospital bed after his surgery. Bed rest, Kane on the mend. Harry Kane braced to start his recovery from yesterday's surgery on his ruptured left hamstring.